some estimates and stuff. So
Well,
we'll see.
that's one of the reasons we got the AE, to where we can bring those together quickly for a preliminary to see if it was feasible.
I mean, we probably need to put them in a room together and.
Well, voila, we're in the 120 days now. We ain't even found the building, let alone a room.
Right.
Here, put this thing in your mouth, and I'll tell you, I'll call you by phone, tell you where the other one goes.
I mean, if Tracy's going to do this, we probably need to get Dean Blevins and Bullock from Northeast State in the same room to see how all this is going to work together. I know that's an education committee responsibility, but it's also a building and grounds opportunity.
And health and welfare, I would contend. I mean,
yeah, that too.
Welfare of the county is a broad swath.
It don't matter. Just tell them to get their butts around the table. Good God, I don't care what committee they're on.
All right. I mean, it would be nice if Northeast could commit, give a little more, concrete.
Right. Well, and we're looking at them maybe to bring money to the table, not necessarily the rent money, which we're depending on, and hopefully we're cutting them a deal. But if part of that space becomes theirs, they can invest state dollars, which we don't have.
Right. And if there are dual enrollment possibilities, maybe they upfit the studio or the shop, so to speak.
Right.
With their gear. And I mean, we really, there's a lot of boxes to check, but it is, I mean, I think it's probably neck and neck that the first or second most exciting thing we're proposing to do this year, this committee, right up there with the broadband,
Yeah.
My nails.
Yep. But I think we're all in to support that and to support Maccabee in what he wants to do, because we got to move off the dime here.
Yeah,
Just have to.
That's what I say. Let's just get up there and get them together. Even if we have to go down to Academy Street and start there to get their dreams, and go up to the workforce development Northeast and meet with them to find out how this can work. But I've got to have my AE to give me a preliminary layout of where we have something we're looking at to see how we can shift, or where we can place, or which is best utilized. It may be an increase in square footage, leasable square footage, depending on how we get it laid out and how we can get it to work together. And then that way our estimates, when we start putting them together, will reflect plan A is to move certain activities in there.
Yeah, I think that is, we need to get everybody together at some juncture sooner than later. And just because surely, well, I don't know this. I don't know if Tracy has talked with Dean Blevins or Danny O'Quinn, or been over to talk with Bullock and her group at Northeast, but we got to have a plan where everybody's working together and it's mutually beneficial to all of us, and particularly our kids.
I have a meeting set up with Dr. Maccabee and Dr. Bullock in a couple of Wednesdays to discuss the collaboration.
Oh, good.
They're coming here to meet with me, and we're going to do it in the conference room because there's just going to be a handful of us.
Okay.
Probably wouldn't hurt to include Dean also, and I can reach out to him to see if he can join us. We've already got that tentatively set up for 9 o'clock on the 18th.
Okay, fantastic.
It's after 6, so which committee is going first tonight?
You can go if you'd like. Looks like you're ready to go.
I wouldn't say that. But I do have somebody that may speak, so it would be nice, I guess, if we could go first.
Sure, absolutely.
Okay. Well, welcome everybody. Thank you for being here. I believe the only committee member we're missing is Isaiah, and he can't join us. So let me officially call Building and Grounds meeting to order at 6:04 p.m. on November 5th. Gwen, I see your name on the screen. Are you with us?
Yeah, I see her there too.
Okay, well,
Here.
hey Gwen, we're so glad you're here. I know I didn't see you in highway, so I was trying to prepare myself to call roll.
No, I got it.
Okay, thank you so very much.
I was gonna ask too, the empty seat for District 7, will he be joining us, the new commissioner, or has he been sworn in? What is the?
He hasn't been sworn in yet, best of my knowledge.
Until the election results are certified, which will be 2
Right.
weeks. Oh, okay. All right.
But I
So
did-
Sonja's sitting in for
I-
him.
Right, I did invite him to tonight's meeting so he could get a flavor. I don't think I'm overstepping my bounds and telling him this is the group of committees that he's going to be on, since these are the ones that Ray Lyons left. But I don't see Daniel on, so.
Okay. All right. Randall Jenkins.
Yes, I'm here.
Mike Hill.
Here,
Robert Acuff.
Here,
Brad Johnson.
Here.
Thomas Prophet.
Here.
Ginger Holdren.
Yes, here.
Sonja Color.
Present.
And Isaiah Grindstaff.
Okay. So in the absence of our chairman, I will be leading this meeting tonight. I hope that he's able to get back with us soon. Work is really taking him away right now. And as I listened to some of y'all's conversation, I too realized that building and grounds is lagging on a couple of issues. I'll do my best to lead us through discussions and maybe motions and votes tonight as you all see appropriate. But we'll have to have our chairman with his feet on the ground running on some of these issues. So if his job is going to take him away, we'll have to revisit that conversation, because I don't have the capability to lead this committee and another. So
Madam Vice Chair, did you say that the chairman's job was keeping him away?
yes, that is my understanding.
Did he change jobs in our county?
I think he's been given extra responsibilities, is my understanding.
Okay.
Okay, so let's see if you all would like to approve the agenda as I sent it out to you.
motion to approve as presented.
second,
Okay. Get that, Gwen? Motion by Hill and second by Acuff.
I did.
Okay, so we'll do a roll call vote on that.
Randall Jenkins.
Yes.
Mike Hill.
Yes,
Robert Acuff.
yes,
Brad Johnson.
Yes.
Thomas Prophet.
Yes.
Ginger Holdren.
Yes.
Sonja Color.
Yes.
And Isaiah Grindstaff.
Okay, thank you. And then in a second email to the committee, I sent out the October meeting minutes. I hope you've had a chance to look over those.
motion to approve, Hill District 2.
Color District 7, second. Okay, thank you. Is there any discussion, corrections? Okay, Miss Gwen.
Randall Jenkins.
Yes.
Mike Hill.
Yes,
Robert Acuff.
yes,
Brad Johnson.
Yes.
Thomas Prophet.
Yes.
Ginger Holdren.
Yes.
Sonja Color.
Yes.
Isaiah Grindstaff.
Okay, thank you very much. So the minutes are approved. I don't believe I see a member of the public, but I do see a visiting commissioner or two. Does anybody have any public comments at this time? Okay, Then we'll move into new business item 5A on your agenda. This is discussion of the lease with the probation office. And you had two attachments that go along with this topic. One was titled the lease agreement, even though it is not actually the agreement, it's a discussion of the agreement. And then the second document was a comparison between agencies that the county rents to. So if you'll have those, and then Interim Mayor Woodby is the one who asked me to put this on the agenda, so I'm gonna let her start off this discussion, please.
Okay. The state has contacted me and they are looking to renew the lease on the probation and parole building. He was supposed to email me the drafted lease and I haven't received it yet, but they're requesting to renew for 5 years. I think this last lease, and Josh can correct me if I was wrong, it's just it wasn't added 2 years to the original lease. And that comes up expires December of this year. So we done a little bit of a cost analysis to kind of compare what's included in their lease versus what we don't include in some of the other leases. And you can kind of look over that and see how you all feel if we're coming out ahead, if we want to keep them there for another 5 years. Is there another opportunity for that building? There have been some negatives that I've been told about having probation and parole next to county government. Some of them have been, needles have been found in the parking lots. There has been an actual chase from serving a warrant in the building and them running out through the parking lots. I do think our road superintendent did go into the parking lot to look at paving the parking lot, and an employee came out very abrasive to him and was asking him to leave and had their hand on their gun. And Roger had to announce who he was. And if Abby would like to chime in, she knows a little bit more of the issues before I came. They're just very aggressive, and I know that's their job because they do carry weapons and they're very concerned about who comes on the property. But it's been very hard, from my understanding, for county employees to get into the building without feeling threatened by trying to get into the building, to even see the inside of the building. And the original lease did have janitorial services in there. We've never provided janitorial. They've never asked for it, and now they're asking for it. There's been several new keys made for the building. I think Abby told me she made 12 not too long ago, and now they're requesting for us to make more keys for the building. I'm not sure what they're doing with all these keys that we're having made. So there's a few negatives. There's some pros and cons. I just wanted to bring it to the board. I think all leases should be brought to building and grounds for review, especially when they're that close to renewal, to see if there's any options that the county might need that building for other than what we're seeing now. And Abby, can you think of anything else that I missed as far as what you've seen before I've come?
The deal with the keys is they had an employee that was terminated and they failed to get the keys back from him. They said he wouldn't give them the key back. So the county ended up having to pay to have the building rekeyed because they refused to attempt to get a key back from an employee they terminated. We've had several issues with just trying to get stuff done over there. Like the day I took the locksmith over to get the keying, they were very rude to him. They were very rude to me, even though that was a service they had requested and we were providing to them at no cost. They've just been very difficult to work with since my time in the mayor's office.
So I think that we just wanted to bring it to the committee and see if you all see the concern, or is it something we want to keep for another 5 years? I know it's state funded money, it's rented from the state, and that's always a good opportunity. But they're really close to the county government and the county taxpayers and the people that are doing county business. And I don't know if the court system should be intertwining that close with the county government, considering they do serve warrants on those individuals when they come to their meetings and they're evading arrest. They will call and have warrants served over there. And I do think at one time, Abby, correct me if I'm wrong, I was told this, they used to try to go into planning to use their restroom to maybe try to pee in cups in planning's restroom. I think planning had to put a sign in the public restrooms. And I was told that by an individual, not sure the whole truth on that, but
I was told that by planning as well. They were having an issue with the probationers coming into their restrooms. There was some actual damage to the restroom one time. by somebody that had come in there that was not a county employee or not there to conduct business at the planning office.
So, and from what I can tell, their lease is just a flat lease. It only includes rent only. And you can see the analysis that we kind of put together. It boils down to they're basically paying $3 and something a square foot once we provide all the services that we're providing. Janitorial now has been requested, which we haven't done in the past, but it is in the lease, so that we will have to include that expense in as well. And then obviously getting a schedule to even do janitorial. I'm not real sure if anybody, feels safe to go in there and do anything. So I'll leave it at the board's discretion for discussion, and let you guys let me know what we want to do, and we'll get it to the full commission.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
just looking at the comparison, $3.15, and that doesn't include the janitorial service. So looks like to me, we may be giving it to them for free next year.
Sonja, you're exactly right.
Yeah.
Right.
I
Chairman, I would
agree
agree.
with Mr. Fuller. Yes, Dr. Aiken.
I would agree with Commissioner Culler's comment. I'm not in favor of renewing the lease based on what I see before me on the analysis sheet that you distributed. We are very much overcrowded in our courthouse and other locations. I would question that the planning building I would almost suggest that it be demolished, and let's pave that spot and move planning over there, if nothing else. I'm sure there's certain other aspects we could use for that building, but as Commissioner Culler said, we might as well give it to them at this point.
And Dr. Acuff, just to reiterate that discussion, that was honestly exactly my idea as Abby and I discussed it. And I talked to Chris Schuetler in passing and asked him what he thought about maybe taking that building. Of course, the only issue is the ADA compliance.
Right.
The planning building is ADA, but I'm like you, that building is, I don't know if it would pass their own inspections.
You're probably right. I don't think it would.
So it was a concern when I went and visited there, and then we started talking about this lease. And there's a lot going on with this lease, I felt.
And just to add to that, some of the issues we've had with the current planning building, that front parking lot, when it was paved over, it is paved over the main water and sewer lines that come into the building. We've had some serious bathroom issues over there. We had to call Tri-Cities Plumbing to come in because the sewer line was backing up and there was actually a leak in one point, and they were able to patch fix it, but they said if it broke again, they would have to recommend digging up all that concrete out front to replace the whole line. And there's also some structural issues with the floor in there, with the beams support.
Yeah.
You can tell the structural issues when you walk on that floor. You can hear it.
Well, again, looking at the comparison, like I said, it's not only free, it sounds like we're going to be paying them to stay in it. How much would it cost to do the ADA compliance to move the planning?
Well, first, wouldn't you want to survey the building to see if it's even worthy to bring the planning over there? Because it's about like time as far as it was built, and that was built for residential use. Now we're going into a governmental commercial use in itself. It may not be worthy.
You might be right, Brad, and I'm told it's very old and needs some work too.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's worthy of the planning or that building having anyone in it at this point. Maybe.
Yeah.
Is it considered anything with the historical or any society with any of that? So
No.
No, that's not on any of our list of county historic properties.
Well, we're always looking for storage, so that might be the solution. Just take it back and use it for storage.
Could be.
Well, I think they've got the storage thing.
we've
beat
got
up.
quite a bit of storage now. Not to say how long that will last us at the rate we're going, but that is working out very well with the offices right now. It's really helped them a lot. I don't know an option, but I know between the planning building and that particular building, what I've seen since I've been in this office, there's a real concern with all of it. It just seems, maybe bulldoze it all down and make it
Right.
parking.
Yeah, I would, Mayor, I would agree with you. Maybe we do a pre-constructed building that would meet ADA compliance and get rid of both of them and
Right.
put a new structure there.
Yeah, give me dollars ahead. Well, that, and, discussion with the state, bless their little hearts. I don't know why they think that they got to come out and talk to anybody if their hand on their weapon unless they don't know what it is.
I'm not real sure either.
Well, I don't either, but, such issues like additional keys and now wanting cleaning services and all that, then, we should meet them halfway and say, okay, if these are things that's going to be provided by the county to your services, here's the additional cost that's going to be involved. Now, they may make a decision, well, they'd rather go somewhere else. Well, voila. But as far as their corporation and their conduct, if we provide them with a service, you better be on your best accord as far as our employees are concerned.
Yeah.
You're not over there in secret because they got windows. And if that's you all using those drugs, well, quit throwing your needles out in the driveway. Do a little bit of your own policing. Their authorities are not greater than what our county authorities are, as far as the officers are concerned. We can put a 2-seat Johnny out there at the back and tell them there's where they do their test if they want to.
Okay, when does this lease expire?
In December.
Well,
And from my understanding of speaking with the lease department for the state of Tennessee, the drafted lease is basically for 5 more years with the same stipulation.
Madam Chair, I would make the motion that we not renew this lease and that we seek other alternatives.
I would second that motion.
Okay. So now we'll go into a time of discussion. And Gwen, I guess you got ACAF made the motion and Color seconded. So when you say December, do you mean December 31st, Mayor Woodby?
Yeah, Josh, do you know the exact date when you looked at it?
Yeah, it is December 31.
Yes.
Okay. And then I would just ask Dr. ACAF to maybe, when you say other options, will you clarify that just a little bit? Do you mean other options that the county might use it for?
Well, I think that needs to be determined. And yes, ma'am, whether we do use it for storage, whether it can be ADA compliant in some form or fashion for planning, or we get rid of both the buildings. I think that's another discussion, but maybe I should clarify my motion in saying it is not to renew this lease on these terms, period.
Okay. So Commissioner Color, will you be okay with the way he's just reworded that motion?
Yes, I would.
Okay. What other discussion do you guys have?
Mayor Woodby or Josh, this would give us enough time to give them a notice to leave.
Well, I would certainly suggest as much notice as possible if you're terminating the lease at the end date. I mean, it actually calls for a 90-day notice period short of the actual termination date. So, I mean, I would give them as much notice as possible. Obviously, if they need additional time based on the fact that they've been there about 4 years now and they're going to have to find a new spot, I mean, I think we should be a little bit understanding on that. But as much notice as possible. If there's no renewal on any terms, we need to let them know.
Should we incorporate that into the motion that we give them 90, at least up to 90 days? That would go back past the December 31st, but that would show a good faith on our part.
Yeah, I'm all for that. I mean, that would be more than reasonable.
Dr. Acuff?
Yeah, absolutely. If that I would consider that a friendly amendment and certainly would agree to that.
And just to say, I know that's a renter and they're valuable, but I don't know if it's the exact type of renter that we need there. I mean, I've worked in the court system long enough to know that I can see where this is going wrong with incorporating it with the county government and the people that are wandering around the parking lots trying to find here and there, and then you've got that entity. You don't know what's going to happen over there. And then especially with Roger, that situation happening with him, I'm not real fond of that.
Mayor Woodby, I'm not even considering that. I'm considering the fact that we're paying them to be in our building.
Well, true, basically. And when we talked about it, I told Ivy, I said, they're there for free. Compared, and then we done the cost analysis we put together, and it was amazing to me. It's kind of, so that's why we brought it to you guys and wanted you to see it.
Okay, Mayor Woodby, I'd just like to ask another question. Early on, when we went with this group, is my memory correct in that we had different probationary company? We switched to this one, and early reports that I remember hearing were that this group was much better about getting payments, court-ordered payments from these people. Am I remembering that correctly?
No, this isn't the same one. This is
Okay.
what we did is ACC. It's misdemeanor probation. That's on the other end of town, down near Hawkins, where they're like, it's CCI. This is state probation. This is Board of Probation and Parole. They do their felony probation. So it's the bigger crimes and the house arrest type stuff. They keep up with those. They actually go out and see. Some of them do the sex offenders. I don't know if they have any of those agents over there, but it's more of the state probation, more for Judge Street and Judge Ross's court. And
Okay, very
CCI
good.
is more Judge Bowers.
Okay.
And they do CCI is doing an excellent job.
Okay, thank you for clarifying that for me.
But also the change of their authority, and correct me if I'm wrong, Mayor, they have since, I believe, the initial lease have been granted authority to arrest and go
Correct.
armed. See, that's new to them.
Yeah.
They
They do
never-
now carry weapons, and they are required to be armed. Yes.
Yeah, so that whole organization itself has had a complete change.
Yes.
And you trying to use the building for their new job, it just don't match.
Mayor or Josh, Chairman Holden, has there been any discussion with them in terms, I know it's not in a state that they could occupy it, but we still have the old jail space. Would the state would they consider updating that at their own expense if we let them utilize it?
Well, I haven't had any conversation with anybody, since I reviewed the first lease with Mayor Humphrey 4 years ago. So the only thing I got when Barnett took over was just a template renewal for 2 years, and there was no negotiation asked for. And now we're at the expiration of that. So I have no idea if Mayor Woodby there has been contacted. Obviously they're going to need a place to move, and that makes sense to me, but I have no idea.
The only contact I've had is from the state leasing department. He actually called me yesterday, and I asked him to email me that draft lease, and he never did, but it's basically the same terms, but for 5 years. And didn't act like they had plans on changing anything. And I said, I told him I needed it because I had planned to put it on the building and grounds agenda for review. And he never got it to me.
And I would say on this initial lease in 2016, I don't know what the square feet of that building is, but on the little summary sheet, they say it was 1,776 square feet. And based on their rent, they were paying $5.45 a square foot. So I don't know if that's accurate or something's changed since then, but the extension didn't change that. So I don't know if they're saying there's more space or less space than there is, and how we got at different figures. I have no idea.
Does that include utilities?
No.
It's figured into their rent. Utilities and janitorial services are supposed to be part of the lease. Of course, we've never given them any janitorial services, but the utilities are figured into the rent payment, pro rata utilities.
Okay, well, we
No,
got a motion and a second.
I'm sorry, Josh, they don't pay utilities. We do. They're not included. Right?
Yeah, I'm saying they're included in their rent payments, like their rent payments are accounting for utilities.
Okay, we're basically, yes, you're right. I'm sorry.
Yeah, we're paying the bills.
Yes.
Correct.
Correct.
Okay, so any other discussion before we vote on the motion on the floor? Okay, we're ready for a roll call vote on this matter. Ms. Gwen, do you need us to restate the motion? Are you ready?
I think I'm ready.
Okay, thank you.
Randall Jenkins,
Yes.
Mike Hill,
Yes.
Robert Acuff,
Yes.
Brad Johnson,
Yes.
Thomas Prophet,
Yes.
Ginger Holdren,
Yes,
Sonja Collar,
Yes.
and Isaiah Grindstaff.
okay, thank you. Motion carries. So, Attorney Harden, will you let them know we're not renewing their lease, sir, and we're giving them 90 days?
Well, I think I'll wait until y'all present it to full commission to vote on, and then certainly I'll send the letter right after that.
Thank you. All right, so on new business, item B, I'm going to turn the floor over to Commissioner Aaron Frazier. He wanted to speak to us about the property on Indian Creek Road that the county owns.
Thank you very much, Miss Holdren. I'm going to share my screen real quick so everybody can see what we're looking at. Oh, well, Abby's got it disabled. Abby!
Frazier.
I know, dude. I'm breaking everything. Abby! Well, I'll continue on until she can get it squared away. Basically, there's a piece of county property that's owned over off of 19E. It's on the left-hand side, through those hills and mountains. Trying to see if I can find where the Dollar General is. Let's see. It's on past Kingburg. After that curve, and then on the next straightaway, there's a section over there, and I don't have good information on it. I just know roughly where it is. It's parcel number 19 and section 80. It's approximately 22 acres. I think it's got some topographical issues that would probably need to be addressed, but it is a 22-acre chunk of property that the county does already own. I think tax appraisal is around $51,000. The reason that I'm requesting a survey on it is because it's not been surveyed since the 70s. And speaking with Mr. Taylor, he said that a lot of these lines and a lot of these things are really out of whack whenever they go in and actually do a survey on it. He said some of them are off. Whenever you're looking at like the property viewer for the state of Tennessee versus what it actually is, some of the lines are really, really far off. So we were wanting to get it surveyed for potential usage by the county in some form or fashion. I know that the Parks and Rec guys may have a use for it as well as some other folks. And just wanted to kind of get it surveyed off and laid off so we'd have a better idea about it and see if it is something that we might want to try to use over time, or if it's just something that we just decide we just want to get rid of. I know the state right-of-way runs pretty heavy and pretty far over towards it, but I think that won't ultimately affect a whole lot in there. But it looks like it's a ridge valley, runs, or a holler that runs up between two ridges. So it's good and boxes off on the far end. I would show everyone, but we still know how to screen share.
Aaron, do you have a physical address for it, or?
It does not have a physical address. all
Aaron,
it
I made you
address.
co-host, so you should be able to hear now.
Thank you, Abby. Thank you. Hold on here. Share application. This one. Here it is. Sorry, guys. Over here, you can tell the old Bristol Highway over there, and then there's Stonewall Drive. Here's another piece of property that we own. Here's Holston Mountain Road, and out through here is where the Sheriff's Department shooting range is, right up in through here. So it's kind of in that same neck of the woods, but if you can see on the topography here, there's like a ridge on the kind of on the south side, ridge on the north side, and the hollow runs in there kind of northeast to southwest-ish, and throws a little bit of a dog leg in there, but you clear off of it so you can actually see a little bit better. Well, it won't clear off. Never mind. But wanting to get a survey done on it, like I said, the Parks and Rec guys, it might be something that they can utilize, or we may be able to find another purpose for it altogether. But we can't do anything with it until we get it surveyed, and then also talk to the state about right-of-way and stuff in there. Because if I'm not mistaken, that is one giant gully that runs in between the highway and where the property actually sits at. There's like a drop-off, and then it goes over to it.
Aaron, can you send me a screenshot of that and everything?
Yep.
Take it and look at it for Parks and Rec as well. That's a good idea, maybe.
Yeah, well, that was kind of the reason we wanted to get it surveyed. I'll send it to you, not from your Randall, but I'll send it to you through email, because I don't know how to take a screenshot on a Chromebook.
All right. Yeah, me neither.
So is Randall the only person on this committee that's also on Parks and Rec?
Yes.
I'm on there. I'm not on the committee, but I'm on Parks and Rec.
So Parks and Rec has been looking for a shooting range. Patty, we just talked about this.
Yeah, we did.
A shooting range area that we could develop. I don't know if that money's still available.
It is.
Oh, it is, Aaron? That's awesome. I mean, Aaron, even before Aaron was commissioner, me and him have been speaking about this. So, I mean, it's got an opportunity here. So.
Yeah, the layout would be perfect for something like that, but even if it can't be utilized for that, it may be something that I don't know, if a road needs put in or something like that, even if the county can't use it, it may be something that we can at least get a road to. That way we can sell it, because if there's no access to it, you're going to be really hard pressed to sell it to anybody, especially if they have to rappel to get to their property.
Aaron, does it border any of our county roads, or is it just fronted by the 4-lane?
Just fronted by the 4-lane. Let me back the image out a little bit here. This piece of property right here is owned by Jason Massey. And this piece of property over here, this is all state right-of-way in this, I don't know, into this eastern kind of piece right here, the one that's north of this. This is all part of state right-of-way right in through here, this whole hollow right here. But no, there is no bordering. It would basically, you're two property owners away from it, because these are all, well, this one's a Massey property as well. This is Kit Stanton, Monica Stanton. This one is Christopher Dedrick, Cecil Muncie. And then you've got this larger section here owned by Massey, and then Daniel Minton owns this piece over here on this side. So there's no direct access to it. But as you can see here, I don't know if you can see, but like right here, it looks like there's a building on the property. Anybody knew we had a building out there? And I mean, for all I know, the property line could be wrong. The property line could, instead of being right here, it could be right here, and this line is actually on somebody, and this building is actually on somebody else's property. So whenever I was talking to Ronnie, I said, you know, how accurate is this? And he's like, he's like, it was put in, these are the lines that were laid out from the 70s. He said they have not been put in there since 19E was put in. None of this stuff's been surveyed since 19E was put in.
Hey, Aaron, if I could say something for a minute. I think most all of the properties the county has left were acquired through tax sales, and obviously what that means is it was taxes weren't paid and it was sold at public auction and nobody wanted it. So a lot of these properties that we have are not the most desirable, either topography or whatever it is. So I would have to research it specifically, but if I'm not mistaken, we all the excess properties that weren't tax sale properties a year or two, a couple of years ago, something like that. And if you switch to that aerial photography view, it might show some little logging road or some access. If you switch to aerial photography, if you zoom in there, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, it's a weird piece of property. I wanted to go out there and find it a couple of times, but I kind of never got my bearings about it, or whenever I was driving, I forgot to look.
Yeah, and it looks like maybe that building, like I said, those lines definitely aren't the certified boundaries or anything like that. It's just an approximation. So those buildings there may actually be state right of way, and then reduce the road.
I mean, there could be state buildings, because some of that stuff you can't even see down in there. So, but you know, it's a thing is kind of the way I was looking at it. And it's 22, it's a nice little chunk, 22 acres. And if, like I said, all of this through here is state right of way, may be able to convince the state to, you know, continue that line right through there and acquire this from them from the right of way too. I don't know. Just a thing.
Well, more than likely, when the state comes in and lays out for a 4-lane like that, their right of way abuts or joins the corners of all intersecting parcels, not leaving anything in between the two.
Yeah, and that's a real good possibility as well. This may have been a different parcel, but they had to buy the whole thing because the owner was like, "Well, I don't want to give you my property, you know, unless you take the whole thing. I don't want part of it, and never be able to access it again." So,
Okay. Thank you, Aaron, for bringing that to our attention. Does anybody on committee want to make a move on this?
Absolutely. Do we need a motion? Proceed.
Yes, we
Yeah.
do. Involves spending money.
I can make that motion. So we need to get it surveyed.
yeah, Ronnie said it needed to be surveyed before we could do anything at all with it, really. Before we could make any sort of determinations with it. And whenever they do that survey and they update the state survey, then it will change the lines that are on here on the property viewer.
Yeah, okay. I'll make a motion to send it to get a survey done on that.
Okay, we have a motion to ask the budget committee to approve a survey on this property. Does anybody want to second that motion?
Chairman Holdren,
Yes, Commissioner Hill.
before we have it surveyed and go to any expense, I mean, it's just going to lay there because the county already owns it. Should the survey or canvas be of Parks and Rec and anybody else that we might have internally that would have some sort of idea of a potential use for the thing? Should we blow it by Parks and Rec committee to see if they have a proposed use for it first, and then bring this back next month?
That
I had actually already spoken to Ken Googe, and he said they really couldn't make a determination on it until they knew where the property lines actually lied at. So we don't know where potential access to the property could be.
Commissioner Frazier, do you know for sure that he's driven at least by it and tried to figure out approximately where it's at?
Well, I mean, it's impossible to tell because we know that Ronnie has already said that the lines that are on the Tennessee Property Viewer are not correct. He said because in some cases these lines will run directly through someone's house. They're off that far in many sections in the county. So.
Okay, so, if there's no second, we will just have to move on from this discussion. Okay, Aaron, maybe if you feel it's worthwhile, just look into it a little further. If you can bring us more information, maybe the committee will want to move on it another time. I thank you for your time tonight.
No problem. Y'all have a good one.
Okay, thank you. All right, so discussion of including the appraisal of Linda Whitehead's property, which we ordered but haven't discussed in committee yet. So I would just say to the committee to open this discussion that we have heard from different departments and leaders that we are running out of space in the courthouse. This committee has considered the possibility of moving some offices up to the workforce development property. Then we got a new director of schools who has a vision for a different use of that property. I feel like from our discussions that this committee would like to let that idea run its course before we consider other ideas at workforce development. So that means that we need another piece of property possibly for housing our departments or adding departments. It has been in discussion by some that we need an economic development department. We've also talked about information technology. We are currently, in a week or less, we are meeting as a records committee to discuss placement of the archives and getting that process started. So in thought of all that, I would like to talk about the appraisal on Linda Whitehead's property that adjoins our courthouse. And it was sent out to you guys. I hope you've had a chance to look over it. As best I remember, she was asking 1.3 million. We got back an appraisal at 1.135, but there is a dispute on that appraisal currently because the house was listed at 5,800 square feet, I believe. I may have my numbers a little bit wrong, but she says that the house is in the 7,000s in square footage. So it's off by at least 1,500 square feet, according to her. The records that I can pull up from home about the courthouse improvements on the tax appraisal, I can't tell the square footage of the house of what Ronnie has it at. So I can't speak to that, but I know she disputes the appraiser's number. So, I know that as a county, we cannot pay her what she's asking for it. I can't remember. Attorney Hardin, is it that we can go 5% over appraisal or 10% over?
The rule of thumb is 5%, and I've said it a time or two before. That really is a statute that is governing personal property and not so much real property. I mean, of course, you all have to decide what's fair and what's, I guess, economical using taxpayer money to buy it. I don't know that it's a hard and fast rule, 5%, but that's kind of what we've always went by.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. So as a person that spent some time in real estate, I always think that when a property that adjoins your property comes available, you have to at least consider what can happen to that property and how you might possibly need to use that property in the future. Because sometimes a piece of property will only come available once in a lifetime. It does join our courthouse facility, and then, you know, all around it's the jail, the detention center, and so on. So I would just like to, you know, have you all thinking about that. And along those lines, I'll tell you that I reached out to Vicki Clark earlier today because I knew that there was a commercial kitchen inside that house on Linda's property. And I just said, Vicki, if she will let us in today, would you be available and willing to go with me to just see what that kitchen looks like? So Vicki said yes. And then I reached out to Miss Whitehead, and she allowed us to get in. Then I reached out to the mayor and said, would you like to join Vicki and me? And Mayor Whitby joined us. So the three of us went into that house today to look at the kitchen. And then we took it upon ourselves to go elsewhere in the building and just look at the whole thing. And I asked Vicki to consider if the kitchen worked for her plans for the UT Extension Office and all that they do with our students and families in the county, and her future dreams, how that could benefit further, where she could visualize offices, conference rooms, and so on. And so I'm going to ask Miss Vicki, since she's on tonight, if she will talk about what she saw and if she thinks it's feasible for the UT Extension Office to use that space.
Okay.
You're
Vicki,
muted, Vicki.
Now, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I was really impressed with the kitchen. It opens a lot of possibilities for extension work, the things that we would like to offer and really have not been able to. I get a lot of calls and questions about canning, and doing canning classes has been really high on my radar for some time, but just haven't had a facility that I could do that in. There's a lot of interest in that now. A lot of people are getting into home gardening and food preservation, and this COVID-19 situation has increased the interest in doing, taking care of your family and having your own stockpile. Looking in that kitchen, I thought there is so many possibilities if we had something like that where we could do classes on cooking, seasonal cooking, or one thing I've been wanting to do for a long time is doing dining with diabetes, a huge issue in our county, helping people learn how to cook appropriately for that. But beyond that, I think it could become a real community asset as well. Having access to a commercial kitchen, if we were to, and I'm just dreaming at this point, of course, but if we were to have something like this where we could open it up as a business incubator for people that wanted to start their own food industry, making preserves or pickle products. They can't do that in a home kitchen. They have to have a commercial kitchen to be able to do that. And we know that it's very expensive to set that up like they did over in Unicoi County with the Mountain Harvest Kitchen, but that's a standalone building built just for that one purpose. But to have this already available in a community with county offices where you could open it up to people in the community. And I have had several calls, people wanting to do that. They're looking at trying to start businesses and have not had any place I could tell them they could go or recommend. In addition to that, the space is so much larger than where we are now that it would open up a lot of a conference space that we don't have right now where you could do workshops. The upstairs, we were looking at that where there's like 3 big rooms that open up, could be a wonderful community conference area. A lot of the networking that we do with other organizations like the Carter County Advisory Board and the Drug Prevention Coalition and all of these other entities that work together and we all cooperate together. A lot of times we have to go to the coffee company or someplace like that just to have a space to meet, but to have a county space would be really, I think would be really beneficial. I also got pretty excited thinking about the pavilion and the opportunity to have outdoor workshops and classes and ag and 4-H. The office, the spaces would be much larger than what we have now, and it would be a real asset, I think, to the community. There's also the flat parking area, so there's a lot of access, which would be good. So yes, it opened up a lot of possibilities, and we would certainly be interested. Any questions?
This is Brad Johnson. Question to have you ever got the opportunity to tour the workforce development property that we have in the availability that we could build you a kitchen for such as that, and it be used and feasible for the public for entrance and exit, and also may open up better avenues. Well, my concern is that is attached to to an older building. And that is one thing that, you're already in the office of one and you know what that brings. It does not meet ADA requirements, and it would cost us a hefty paycheck to get it to where the public could come in and use it. And then secondly, if they took the whole property, the only actual access that you have for the whole total property is which runs down between the planning department and the apartments there. They can't go in on the 4-lane because that's in a turn lane, and they cannot go in from one direction from the intersection, so it pretty well puts you at a disadvantage for the use of the total property. But we had given some thought in other conversations about once we got an architect on board that we incorporate your thoughts, your preliminary thoughts and all as to where we could locate one in space available at the workforce development to where you could build your programs and we can have it designed all at the same time and know what our costs are going to be. Because I'm sure it's going to be less than it would be if you had to buy that building.
You have a good point. And I'm not saying that we're unhappy where we are. The county's been very good to us about upgrading the building we are in, but it is an older building. And of course, there are disadvantages with that.
Yeah. It's not even worthy of demolition, I'm telling you. I'm still at bits with the PE that done the structural on it. I cannot believe that whatsoever. It defied the Newton's law, even if you want to look at it.
Well, I'm sure maintenance on this building we were looking at today would be large as well, but from our standpoint, it would certainly be a step up from where we are. And if that were available, we would certainly be interested. I think it opens up, like I said, a lot more opportunities than we have where we currently are.
Question.
But I agree with you.
Is this house considered historical home in Carter County? On the registry?
I'm sure it is.
Yes, ma'am, I think so. I think you'd have to get some approvals to do much of anything.
Yeah, but it's also, isn't it? It's in the historical district of the city. Am I correct in that in their territory?
Correct. Yeah. I mean, I think there's an actual state historical marker in the parking lot. I mean, it is a protected site, no doubt.
Well, nobody has ever dealt with having to deal with the historical commission of the state and federal. open up the cash drawer. The requirements is unbelievable.
What's the acres on that property?
It's 3.7 in total, Commissioner Jenkins.
Has anybody thought about, and I'm not taking away from you, Miss Vicky, since we've talked about this property before, I've discussed it with a few people, and we had talks of a hotel forever, and then it just went away. And now, I mean, that would be a prime piece of real estate for a hotel. I don't know if it's big enough or not. I'm thinking, but it's not. Brad, I see you shaking your head.
No, it's if you look at the plot, the plat of the thing, more or less about like into an L shape. By the time that you put a building footprint facing the 4-lane, you would have minimal parking or development from that side whatsoever. And it just you don't have the square footage for a hotel.
Well, it would be great to tie it into the restaurant part of it, a restaurant tied into the hotel, but it's just food for thought out there, but you're probably right, Brad.
So the way he appraised it, he had the house at 1 acre and then he had the other land at 2.7 approximate acres. So, I mean, I don't know. Does it take more than 2.7 acres to do what Randall's talking about?
I don't know. I mean, but I think it's opportunity. I mean, we've talked about a hotel in this town for years now, and we had one going a couple years ago, and I don't know what happened to it.
Randall, don't mean to interrupt you, but I did meet with City Manager Daniel Estes yesterday, and apparently that hotel is still a go. All the documents have been signed, and it's ready to begin construction.
That's awesome. Did it just get why because of COVID or?
Yeah, everything's been on slow, but he said it's a done deal, and he said he just hasn't had anybody ask him about it, but he said it's a go. It's a done deal, actually. They have the buyer, everything's done on it. He actually told me that yesterday. I met with him.
That's good.
So that is still coming. And I thought the same thing as you. I thought, well, and I did ask him. He said, no, that's been done.
Okay, well, that's good to know. Well, while I'm talking, I'll go ahead and throw my 2 cents in on using that for the kitchen and for the UT extension. Just the upkeep on that alone. I don't know what kind of shape the equipment is in there, but I don't know. As long as we're willing to put money behind it later on, when we're 5 years down the road, because this program is great and it would really help the community, but we better be willing to put some money behind it coming down 5 years from now, 10 years from now. We just got to have a game plan so we're not surprised by, I don't know, a $10,000 oven going out or something. I don't know what type. I've been in that kitchen once, and that was 10 years ago. So just my 2 cents.
Chairman Holdren, ACUF First District. Can I ask a couple of questions, and maybe someone on tonight will have the answers. When this project was brought to us, or the property was brought to us about 3, maybe 4 months ago, I understood by then Chair Janes that time was of the essence, to use a term that we've all are endeared about, that because she had a buyer for this piece of property. Now we've been 3-4 months down the road, and that property is still sitting vacant. I agree with your comment because my wife is in real estate too. Contiguous properties that are around the property that you own may only become available once in a lifetime, and I do weigh that heavily, and particularly for that particular structure because of who built it and the historic aspects that we're so much into in Carter County and should be. I do know, as Commissioner Johnson pointed out, that historic structures take a lot of detail and attention. I've owned 2 historic homes, and they're a money pit. I sit on the Sycamore Shoals State Historical Park, and we've got at least 2 money pits, Sabine Hill and Carter Mansion, and we're investing in them all the time to keep them structurally sound. And I agree with Commissioner Jenkins. Are we in a position to commit that kind of money to this project? I mean, I'd love to have the property because I think it is valuable and would be valuable to us. But what do we do with the historical structure? And can we afford to keep it up?
Chairman, if you recall, a couple of months ago, I threw out the idea of a partnership of some sort with the Friends of Sycamore Shoals because of the Carter property, the Carter house there. I haven't been able to make it to either of the board meetings these last 2 months because of other things, but I still think that would bear looking into, because I do think the Friends of Sycamore Shoals might be interested in a third money pit.
Well, to answer Commissioner Hill's query there, yes, I can bring that before the board. We do have means, which we didn't, as Mike knows, that we didn't have before because of the license plates that we sell. I don't think it's any secret. This quarter alone brought in over $80,000 from the state of Tennessee because of either purchase or repurchase of those license plates. We're now a corporation or a 501c3 that's well over $500,000. Now, whether they would want to invest in this particular structure, I would hope that they would at least take a look at it. And I'm happy to take that to the board if that's Building and Grounds wish.
I'd like to make that motion. I would put that in the form of a motion to bring that to the Friends of Sycamore Shoals and explore a partnership of sorts, because really that could be, that's the entry corridor to downtown Elizabethton, and it could be cool to do something with that. I wouldn't mind seeing us have an interest in it, but I don't think the county, I know we're developing a maintenance department, but maintenance and historical preservation are two whole different animals. Anyway, my motion is to bring this to Sycamore Shoals Friends of, and see if there's any mutual interest there.
Chairwoman, I'll second that just for the sake of discussion. I have a couple of questions.
Yes, okay. So Glenn, we have a motion by Hill and a second by Kohler, and now the floor is open for discussion on this motion.
What do you mean by partnership, Mr. Hill?
Well, if the county has interest in the property, and that seems to be where the winds are blowing, but not as much the historical structure. You know, we have reenactors, and we have a group that puts on teas and does all the well, it could be a nice additional attractor for the historical tourism. I don't know if they would come in and just provide programming. I don't know what that would look like, and the answer might be no out of hand, but it certainly bears looking into.
Well, I guess my concern was, we're talking to Miss Vicky about the industrial kitchen and using it for her department. I'm not sure how that would work into a partnership with Sycamore Shoals paying for the building and taking care of the building. That's what I was wondering. Our use and what we can get from them seems to be on different levels.
Do you know anything about how that works, Commissioner Hill?
No idea. I know that was quite the process to get Sabine Hill acquired and remodeled. They brought in restoration experts to do the specific finishes, the time period wallpapers and all of that stuff. So they're way into that. And then, the notion of highest and best use is another real estate term. Highest and best use of a piece of property. And, I think the commercial kitchen and the extension courses and all would be better placed somewhere else, just because of the historical nature of that building. And, you know, it's already had more hands in it than, you know, it's been several things over the course of its life. So the restoration would be a large project, but I don't know. There are a bunch of historians that probably would like to see that done something different with, other than a commercial aspect.
Chairman, I can speak to back to the historical issues. We just had one of the state officials in probably in the last month that prioritize all the projects for the state parks in Tennessee. And they're very interested in both Carter Mansion and Sabine Hill. And we just now cut a deal with them, which we are hopefully formalizing. The Friends of Sycamore Shoals felt it incumbent that we reach out to the state because of the fact, as Commissioner Hill alluded to, you never know what you're going to get into in a historic structure. And we felt that even with our lucrative license plate deal that we've got going on right now, we could become broke very quickly, because you never know when you remove the clapboard on the outside if it's going to be infested. You know this from properties that you own and being a real estate individual. You never know what you're going to get into. And maybe the board at Sycamore Shows could also reach out to the state of Tennessee and see if they, along with the board, would be interested in maybe purchasing that property or coming alongside and helping like they have done at Sabine Hill.
I think I'm playing the devil's advocate here, but I was thinking about if it's got an industrial kitchen, it's been a recent restaurant, there's going to have to be a whole lot of restoration done to put it back to where it's a historical Sycamore Shoals, whatever.
Right, and I would agree with that. I know that all of you that have lived here all your life remember Sabine Hill and its decrepit state. In fact, at some point in time, if it hadn't been bought by Sam Laporte and a few others to invest, it would have probably been torn down. Now, I'm pleased that it wasn't, and it was revived. And yes, they had to do a lot, believe you me, a lot to get it to where it is today. And I don't know if in taking off the kitchen, redesigning or putting it back in as a historical structure can be done, or if the state would even have an interest in it. Although, as we all know, the individual that built that house and lived in that house, in terms of history, was both with an admiral in the Navy as well as a general in the Army. So he's the only one in history that achieved that status. So it holds some historical significance in this county and in this country. But convincing people to do that is a ball of wax that we haven't began to unwind yet.
Okay. I'll just speak a little bit to some of the things y'all brought up. The building, you know, I did see some places on the, I'll call it soffit, outside that looked like they needed painting or a little bit of repair today. I didn't notice anything else in particular that I can remember right now. Inside, it's in pretty good shape, and without knowing, you know, very much at all about historical buildings and their restoration, it looks to be kept pretty much like I imagine it was before, except maybe for the kitchen area. And the kitchen area was, I would say, close to a quarter of the first floor. It was a very large space, but still did not look like a great deal of tampering had been done to the structure itself. I did inquire with Linda about electricity. She said she had spent either $50,000 or $60,000 on electricity in the time that she's owned it. I inquired about internet. She said that it was there. Can you ladies think of anything else that we saw or heard?
It's beautifully decorated and furnished right now. And we were talking about that if she sold it, she probably would not sell the furniture with it. So there would have to be furnished. I didn't grow up in Carter County, but there's probably nobody there that's any more passionate about the history. I love the history of Carter County, and that building and the Folsom House that our office is in now, I think are just a wonderful heritage. And I hope that the county will be able to keep them. Whether we get to be in it or not, it's just too good an asset for the county not to keep that part of their history. I very much treasure that.
And I'll just reiterate what Vicki said. It's beautiful. I mean, it takes you back when you walk in somewhere like that. It really makes you appreciate where we live and what we should be proud of. And I hope that the county can help do something with that. It's a great, it could be a great asset to us. I mean, and it borders the courthouse, which I know we've discussed. And when you stand out on the side of the building and just look over to the 4-lane, it's almost a completely flat piece of property. I mean, it's really, there's no mounds or anything. It's just flat and you can see all the way out. So I think it's a great piece of property.
Okay, so to get us back on track, I'm gonna say to the committee that there's a motion on the floor to, let me clarify, Mr. Hill, would it be you that would be getting in touch with the Friends of Sycamore Shoals?
Bob and I both sit on that board. I've had other functions the last 2 months and haven't made it to their meetings. I can't remember why we had to skip this last time, or I did, but certainly one of us would be able to bring it to Mr. Kabinka and, the board.
We have an annual.
Happy to do it.
Yeah, we have an annual meeting coming up towards the end of this month, and I can send Mike Barnett, who was chair of the board, and John Kabinka, who is our treasurer, and also Jennifer Bauer, who, as you all know, is the director for Sycamore Shoals, an inquiry asking of their interest. I'm happy to do that.
Okay, so.
Chairman Holden?
Yes.
We'll let Friends of Sycamore Shoals buy it, and we'll be glad to take out the industrial kitchen and put it up in the workforce development for Miss Vicki.
I like it. Good one.
Well, I mean, there's nothing that says that couldn't happen once the asset's acquired. I like the idea of spending other people's money besides ours if there's any way possible to tap into any of those funds.
Well, and I think to also mention the fact that the Friends group at Sycamore Shoals has been looking for a venue that would hold up to 100, 150, maybe 200 people. I don't know that this is it, even with the outside pavilion. But we've been looking for something really on property close to the fort. But we have set those things on the shelf for the moment. Maybe this is a property that we could invest in and become part of the community to upkeep, because it is a significant historical structure. I can't speak for the entire board, obviously, but I'm certainly willing to take it to them and give it the best shot in order to preserve it.
Okay, just a couple of comments, just in full disclosure of what I've been told at this point. I know you all have mentioned that this has been going on for 4 months or so and it's still not sold. This is what I've been told. that she says in her initial conversation, she was offered a purchase on the land only. Since that time, they've negotiated purchase of house and land. And then since that time, they negotiated purchase of house, land, and contents. So I think those talks have been ongoing, and it's kind of strung along for that reason. From what I understand, if we don't move on purchasing it, if we're not moving in that direction, she'll finalize that deal with them, and they are going to do something there, which they will be getting permission from the state to enter that property from the highway for the business that they are going to have on that property. So it is possible, I believe, to get access to that land from 19E. It may be a headache to do so, but when there's money to be made or a good reason, people will go through all that red tape. So if we pass this by, I just want us all to remember that this was an opportunity that we had while we served as commissioners, and it's gonna go away. But I mean, it's the pleasure of the board, and we do have a motion on the floor. Is there any other discussion? Okay, Ms. Gwen, we're ready to vote.
Randall Jenkins,
Yes.
Mike Hill,
Yes.
Robert Acuff,
Yes.
Brad Johnson,
Yeah.
Thomas Prophet,
Yes.
Ginger Holdren,
Yes.
Sandra Color,
Yes.
Isaiah Grindstaff.
Okay, thank you. Motion passes for one of our board members or both to seek out from Friends of Sycamore Shoals if they have any interest in this historical property. Miss Vicki, I thank you again for going with me on such short notice to look at the possibility. I also wanted Miss Vicki to know that this committee has not forgotten her impassioned plea a few months ago for a space to do these things for our county. We do have you on our minds, Miss Vicki, and you're not going to be forgotten. We just don't know the time and the place yet.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate the support of the board.
Okay, thank you. Then also, I want to talk to you about a couple of other pieces of property that I've had the pleasure to tour in the past few weeks that are also near our government facilities and our possible acquisitions that we could make. One is the Chamber of Commerce building. And I guess, Ms. Woodby, you probably know a little bit more about the details of that than I do. Would you please speak to that one?
Yeah. We did, as we know, the chamber's moving. They're going to be out of that building by the end of this month. I think they've got a new facility. I was told that it was in horrible condition. So we wanted to go look at it. So they did meet me over there. Me and Ginger and Austin did go over to look because they're kind of the rental gurus, and the structure is not in bad condition. It needs some work, yes, but it is by no means meant to be tore down, and that's what the city possibly plans to do with it. So in speaking with Daniel Estes, they are interested in collaborating with the county on that building for possibly the same agreement that they have with the chamber, which is the $10 a year agreement. They own the land, we have the building type situation. Of course, we're going to have to figure out what it's going to cost to possibly fix some of the issues that it does have. The location is phenomenal. It's a really good location. And I just want to throw this out there as a preliminary thought for economic development. for an office for economic development and possibly a tourism location in collaboration, possibly with the city of Elizabeth. Those are preliminary thoughts. When we did look at the building, the property's great. It still will have the train. So Chairman Holdren wanted to present it to the board, and I think it's another great opportunity for us in the county. And it needs work, it does. And I don't know what that cost will be. I have no idea, but it by no means needs to be torn down. And the city was kind of thought they were kind of flabbergasted that we would be interested. And I really, to be honest with you, the city, nobody's actually looked at the building and seen what the issues were. They just took it off of the word of the director of the chamber that they needed a new building and it was falling apart. And they went to the city and asked for money, and the city told them no. And so that relationship kind of severed, and that's where we are today with that situation.
The contract agreement again is what?
The contract that they had with the chamber was $10 a year for a lease.
We can afford that.
And they don't look to make any money off of it. They're really interested in collaborating with us and working with us. And I met with Daniel Estes for an hour and 45 minutes. So we got to know each other quite well.
Hey, Miss Vicky, there's a kitchen in that building. At $10 a year, we can afford that.
Let me tell you, Sonja, that was the whole reason. One reason I looked at it is because somebody told me there was a large kitchen in there. And I thought, oh gosh, UT Extension, get in there.
It's not large now, by no means.
It's not large. Now, if you wanted to extend it into the conference room, it would be large. I said, whoever told me that didn't know what large meant.
But no, it would be a really not.
It's very small, but
yes, yeah.
It probably wouldn't do the kitchen part that we want, but it does have an awful lot of possibilities with the park right there for each activities.
It has 4 or 5 offices in the back, a large conference room, a kitchen, and then it has a huge foyer.
If it were something the county were going to purchase, we would certainly like to be considered for it.
Oh, it's a great location, and it's a nice building. No, it doesn't have a large kitchen, but it does have a huge room, and then that front foyer.
It's a great location, and the parking all there, and like I said, the outdoor activities where you've got the pavilion and all you could do outdoor programming. There's a lot of possibilities with that too.
That's one reason I looked at it, and I just wanted, that's a preliminary, and we want to bring it to the board also, the committee to, for discussion on some options on that. So,
Mayor?
Yes.
Can you elaborate on the intention of the city-county collaboration? Are you proposing to do economic development and tourism in addition to?
It's the idea that they brought to me also.
So
asking me what we would do with that location, and it was a preliminary idea that Daniel and I discussed yesterday.
Right. I mean, we have a tourism board, and I mean, don't get me started. I don't think they're wonderful by any means, but are we planning to try to launch something in addition to that, or are we trying to hoover the tourism board away from?
I know that, the economic development's been on hold, and we had put money aside, and the city is wanting to partner with us on that position. He's told me that it could be a county employee. We could house them however we wanted to house them in whatever office, and they're willing to help us on that. So when I mentioned the chamber building as a possible location, they agreed that was a great idea, and that they would be willing to work with us on that building also. So it's a couple different collaboration ideas. I do currently know that the lady that they hired for their planning is doing their economic development also, and it's too much for her. Daniel's worried that she's going to get burnt out. They are also fielding calls for the county on economic development, and they're happy to do so. He wasn't complaining, but they are receiving quite a few calls on economic development for the county. So I feel that it's a discussion that needs to happen. Who's going to play the role, where it's going to be located, the salary, all that needs to come about. But the chamber, just something I wanted to look at and see if it was an option for us to use for anything because of the location.
I can't state enough. I mean, they just hired a new director at the chamber, and it's the same tourism guy. We don't want to go back into that dynamic where it's questionable as to where the responsibilities lie for the economic development, the tourism development, that kind of thing. And again, if it's a situation where we're less than satisfied with efforts that are going on in that area, that's something that needs to be addressed, and possibly the way the tourism part of that is funded.
Mhm.
I'm really interested in hearing about this collaboration. I don't know if you.
Well, and once we get through the mayoral appointment, the city does, and we may do it Zoom. They're interested in doing another workshop like we did before with Dr. Acuff and everybody. And I'd like to set that up so we can discuss these ideas. Daniel and I did like a brainstorming yesterday, and we had a great meeting, and it's really positive. So then I thought, let's do another workshop and get all the entities on board to discuss these topics. And so we want to do that once we get through these other hurdles that we've got coming up, and possibly do it through Zoom. I don't look for us to be able to meet in person, but we've been conducting all kinds of business on Zoom now. So, I see it as it can be done. And he said council's on board. They're willing to meet, and let's collaborate and talk about what possibilities Carter County can have.
I sat on those roundtables too, and they went really well.
Yeah.
The one we had. So, I mean, that's exciting. And it's something that I'm not trying to throw cold water on anything. I just want to make sure that we definitely delineate, the intent there.
Yeah, and I'd rather have a workshop with the full commission and the council and all the powers that be, because Mike, you've got the brains on this, Dr. Acuff, Ginger. I mean, we've got people that really know what to do, and with putting us together, I mean, we can make something happen. And when we work as a team, I'm finding out that, we can do great things. And I'm really proud of us. I really am. And Daniel Estes came to me, and he's the council's wanting to get with us, and it's very positive right now. I know we're in a pandemic, but it's there. We can still do it. So it's good.
Mayor Woodby, when he says rent it for $10 a year, that means that we would be responsible for all maintenance and upkeep of the building and grounds.
Correct. Mm-hmm. Yes, that was part of the lease agreement that Chamber had. And apparently they never told them that they never done any upkeep, any maintenance. And that's why the building is in such bad shape. It's just falling apart it's had no love, I guess. And you've seen it, Ginger. I don't think it's a doable building. It can be an asset for us too.
Mr. Kirby did the maintenance back during the Carter County Tomorrow umbrella. He's very familiar with that whole structure.
He did, and he was the one who told me a little bit about it. I think he put a roof on it, if I'm not mistaken, during his time, and I'd have to recheck those facts, but I'm not sure. Ginger, what did we think about the heat pump? It was going to have to be replaced, possibly. I couldn't remember. But there's something. Yeah.
I'm sorry. What I do remember is there's a roof leak over the fireplace. There's possibly a drainage issue in the back where the mountain comes down to the back of the building. It's either some rot or some termite damage to the exterior because it is made of wood. At the back door, the floor has gotten wet and has a hole in it. But it wasn't as bad as the director of the Chamber of Commerce made it sound to us before we entered the building. And while we were in the building, she said, "Don't push on that wall or you'll go through it." But I went over there and pushed as hard as I could. It felt fine to me. So, I mean, like Ms. Woodby has said, yes, there is damage, there is work to be done, but I did not see it as being nearly as bad as she was carrying on that it was.
So what are we looking for here, Mayor or Chairman?
Wait, we just basically wanted to bring it and let you know kind of preliminary what we're looking at. If it's the will of the committee to be interested in the property, I don't know what your next step would be, but the city's very interested. And I did, Josh, did you get a chance to do a title search on it yet
I did, yeah, and it's.
because there's some
pretty-
confusion, it seems, with a couple of people on that building.
Yeah, well, essentially, it was initially transferred to the Elizabethton Housing and Community Development Organization, and then it was transferred from them to the city in 1977, and then they entered into that 20-year lease you're talking about. It's $1 a year is what the lease
Yeah,
says.
$1 a year.
But it expired 23 years ago, and it's been, I guess, year-to-year renewal since then. But yeah, I mean, there's no appraisal, there's no nothing because it's been owned by the city for so long. I mean, I have no clue about any of that. Of course, there's no indebtedness or anything like that, but it's just the structure as it is there. And there was initially a bunch of restrictions in the housing and or the urban development plan, but all that expired in like 1999. So I don't think there's really much any restriction at all. At this point, it's owned by the city outright, and they can.
That is what Daniel told me yesterday, and the city is willing to entertain the same agreement with the county as they did have with the chamber, the lease agreement.
I would like to.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead, ma'am. I would just.
I think Mike is so excited right now.
This isn't me excited. This is me like,
Oh.
okay, we should look at it, but
I like excitement.
I would make a motion. I make the motion that we set up that city county roundtable with agenda item number 1 being this economic development, tourism development collab. And 2, we have several things we need to probably discuss with those guys, with our counterparts at the city. Our internet broadband initiative, which is something that we did during our initial ideation. We talked about that at length with the guys from MTAS and CTAS. So let's get with them and actually hammer down a couple of
I agree.
together and move this thing forward together. I move that we set up something with the city as expeditiously as possible and make those the 2 main talking points plus whatever they want to throw on the agenda.
And Chair, I'd second that. ACUF, First District.
Okay, so we've got a motion to set up a meeting with the city to continue discussions on the topic of the Chamber of Commerce building and what that looks like for possible economic development and tourism. We have a second by Dr. Acuff. Is there any other discussion? I'll just say that I did remember one more thing that's wrong with the building. That it has some very large windows in the main room where the fireplace is. And at least one of those windows has a broken seal. So that window for sure would have to be replaced because it's completely clouded out to where you can't see through it anymore. That doesn't really have a whole lot to do with that motion. I just wanted to say it while we were talking about the building. Anything else? Okay,
And
Ms.
I will tax myself with setting that round table up if that's okay with the committee, if you would like for me to do so.
Yeah, well, call the roll.
All right, here we go.
Randall Jenkins,
Yes.
Mike Hill,
Yes.
Robert Acuff,
Yes.
Brad Johnson,
Yes.
Thomas Prophet,
Yes.
Ginger Holdren,
Yes.
Longie Color,
Yes.
Isaiah Barnstable.
Okay, motion passes. All right. There's one more piece of property, or maybe 2, that I want to talk to y'all about. What's that?
Watch Mike.
Oh, okay. Let's get through this as fast as we can. Mayor Woodby and I also toured the Tom Cowan office building residence that backs up to the stage at the Covered Bridge Park. I had been asking to tour this place for months before COVID began, And Mrs. Cowan was sick at that time, and that just kind of fell by the wayside. So this past couple of weeks, we picked that back up and set up a meeting with her through Judge Street, and we got to go through the entire building there. She does want to sell it. She did not state a price. She said she wanted to hear our offer. So I'm not sure what that means, but it is an absolutely gorgeous structure, just similar to the historic building that we just discussed, but not historical in nature. It's just gorgeous. They brought in oak that was actually routed, or I don't know the right word for woodworking, but designed on site. So the oak inside that house is phenomenal. There's a spiral staircase, a 2-story library in the center. There's of course a reception area. There is bathrooms. Somebody had said at one time they didn't think there was bathrooms in there, but there's bathrooms in there. Lots and lots and lots of office spaces. It seemed like it went on forever. We would turn a corner and there would be 3 more rooms, and we would go up the steps and there would be 4 more rooms. And I couldn't believe how large it was. It is in good condition based on what limited knowledge I have. I saw a little bit of mold in I wouldn't even call it a basement. It's a area below the first floor that's just big enough to house some mechanical type stuff. But I did see a little bit of mold there, and you all know I see properties all the time, and I mean a little bit. I did notice on the outside of the building that there is some rot of the wood, and the wood is redwood. So it should have held up a little bit better than that, but there is some rot there. I did see some discoloration on the ceiling of the 3rd floor around 3 fluorescent lights. And that's all that I saw wrong with it from these eyes. And that's not saying a whole lot. There's a ton of furniture in there, and it is hard to see everything in that house because of the amount of furniture there. But because of its proximity to our other land and buildings, I thought it was worth taking a look at. And I would like for this committee to consider if you all would like to set up a site visit to go see it, or how you feel about it, if there's any action you'd like to take on it.
Also, Chairman, holding up, I might mention, she does have 2 sets of architectural plans for the side pieces of land that are there for buildings to be built on. They had planned to do that, but I assume they never did, but she does have the plans and the architectural plans for those to be done. So those pieces of land can also have structures put on them.
So this is she's wanting to sell the house and the land that goes from street to street?
Yeah.
Do you know the square footage of the building?
I have the plans now. I picked them up, Commissioner Kohler, last night from the son of that family. But I didn't pay attention today when I was looking over the blueprints, how many square feet are in the building. I think she even told us, but I don't remember.
I don't remember either.
But she said it was 1.66 acres of land. And I do have tons and tons of blueprints that I would like for other committee members to look at with me who know more about that than I do. But they even have the plans for 2 buildings, one to the left and one to the right. So it would make it a U-shaped little center there, if you will. You know, we wouldn't have to act upon that. I just wanted you to know the plans are there for those.
On TN Property Viewer, it's 6,000 square feet. I don't know how true that is.
I would say that's close to being right.
I would say so too.
It went on and on and on.
Yeah.
Was that not on the market not too long ago for about 800? Am I thinking of a different property?
We were given 2 numbers, Commissioner Jenkins, that were just spouted to us by people not in that family. One of those numbers was 1.1 million and the other number was 900,000. Like I said, she did not throw us a number, and I have not seen it on the market. Randall, but that doesn't mean that you're not right. You probably
Okay,
are.
well, it's just hearsay from what I heard. I didn't see it actually anywhere. So are you looking for a motion for us to do a site visit? I'd be more than willing to go do a site visit to discuss it further later on down the road.
I'll
So,
second.
Okay, any other questions or discussion? Commissioner Johnson, it seemed like you were getting ready to say something.
Yeah, it was just a funny. That'd make a great mayoral residence or our county attorney's office, wouldn't it?
We're not going to get our county attorney off that hill.
I'll take that office now. That if the county wants to supply me that office, I don't think Mr. Cowan could use it anymore now.
Man, a man would have to build bigger doors, get your head through it.
Does he say that to you at every meeting, Josh?
Oh.
Okay, any other discussion? Okay, Miss Gwen, call the roll, please.
Okay, the motion is to do a site visit.
Yes.
Okay. Randall Jenkins,
yes.
Mike Hill,
Yes.
Robert Acuff,
Yes.
Brad Johnson,
Yeah,
Thomas Prophet,
Yes.
Ginger Holdren,
Yes.
Sonja Culler,
Yes,
Isaiah Grindstaff.
Okay, thank you. Motion passes. I will reach out to the Cowan family and see if they will allow us to come as a committee. And I'll, of course, reach back out to you guys through email to try to say which day and time is better, yada, yada. We'll work that out. Okay, thank you for your interest in that. Mayor Woodby, are you at liberty to discuss another property?
If you want to. Yes, it's preliminary, but we can probably give an idea of what's come about. If you want to go ahead.
Just, I mean, I know that we don't know much of anything right now, but if you just want to throw it out there, that'd be great.
Judge Lisa Rice has an office right here on the corner. I know most of you may know Regina Shepherd is in that office. She is looking to sell. It's a beautiful office. It's ADA compliant. She's done quite a few renovations on it. It's had 2 females in it, so it's very, very nice. That opportunity, and she had just reached out to me wanting to see if I want to look at it tomorrow afternoon, possibly after lunch. That opportunity is possibly coming available too. And I also, when I think of that opportunity, I think of our finance department. I know many of you know, and Brad, you got to know, they are crowded. There is 8 employees in that office now, and Brad Burke is in a separate office. I've helped them move boxes and boxes, and we've had to find desks and try to get them in corners so they can have a little bit of an office space. We've even had to put a little space in there for Anthony, our tech guy that does the computer work here, so he could be in and out of that office a lot because we've had the new server and all the technical. We're using Anthony a lot these days. He's spending a lot of time here in the courthouse with us for laptops and everything for the Zoom meetings, all the laptops that are being ordered, he's setting them up. So that's kind of what I think of when I think of a space like she's getting ready to put on the market. So that's another space that's going to possibly be available, and it's a space that's ready to go. It will not need anything. It will not need anything. So that's just thoughts for the board, and Ginger may have something else to add to that.
No, not really. So you've been like presented, so to speak, with 4 different properties tonight that are all right there around our current courthouse facility, all coming available at about the same time. And of course, we don't need them all, but I wanted you all to know that they're out there right now, and we will need to make some decisions, and we'll probably need to make them quickly. I would say if I know anything about real estate, that the Lisa Rice building will move quickly
Mhm.
if it goes to market.
And
before we act
She's,
on it.
she's not willing, she wants the county to look at it first before she makes it to the market. So she is giving us that opportunity and that pleasure. And I hope to be able to look at it tomorrow afternoon with her as her court schedule, allows. But she is giving us that opportunity to have an option for it before she makes it fully known that it's being put up on the market.
Since this committee was interested in a site visit on another property, Mayor Woodby, do you think it would be okay with Judge Rice if more than a couple people went?
Sure, yeah.
So I think that's an option if anybody wants to move in that way.
Yeah, I'll be more than happy to set that up too, if the committee so desires.
Okay, any motion on that? Any comments?
And I just want to say, just the few weeks I've been over here, our county government is growing. I'm seeing it firsthand, just really for the first time being involved in it so much here with the office holders and seeing their daily routines. We're growing at a decent pace. We are going to have to make some decisions on some form of a purchase. And I think in order for the county to grow with the county government has to grow. When the county government's growing, the other stuff has to go with it. That's just my opinion. And there's some space issues here. And with the COVID and the issues with the offices being so full, and we're trying to do the plexiglasses and get everybody safe, those are concerns also. But they're busy and they're growing, and that's kind of why all this property is being looked at. We just want to bring options, and I think it may be time for some form of a purchase. So those are my thoughts on what I've seen since I've been here.
Chairman Holden, just a question about the Rice property. If we let Mayor Woodby go look at it and then it's going to come back in December, is that going to be too long of a time frame? Do you think she'll wait for us to make a decision by January?
She might. I can discuss that with her. She's supposed to call me tomorrow afternoon. If whatever the committee desires, I will do it. Your discretion.
Well, I was just thinking you still have to go look at it and then bring it back to us, and then it'd have to go through another month. So
unless there's an opportunity, if you all want me to set something up for a possible site visit for next week with the committee, if your schedules will allow, that's a possibility too, versus her court schedule. But I'm sure she would be willing to make that happen. But her property will need nothing. It will be ready to go. And like Ginger said, as soon as that property hits the market, it will be gone.
well, I'm not going to make a motion about a site visit. It'd be nice today, but I've got to go out of town next week, so I'll have to leave that to other members of the committee. Then I probably won't be on the committee next month anyway.
I'd be willing to go look at it Monday or Tuesday next week at the afternoons.
And I think afternoons are good for her because that's tomorrow. She wanted me to look at it tomorrow afternoon. So her court schedule, normally by lunch or 2, she's usually finished.
So I think it would be okay if you try to set something up and then just email us, and all who can attend will. And based on Dr. Acuff's motion a few weeks ago, I guess at this point, about including all commissioners on emails and attachments, could we include all commissioners on the site visit as well, or do we need to keep it within our committee? I'm asking, I don't know.
I don't know.
I guess my only thought on that would be with the COVID, how many people you want to try to go through something like that.
True. Thank you, Sandra. I forgot. Okay. Well, I know we all need to break desperately, but if you all will let me, I think I can get through our old business in 5 minutes or less, because most of it's just an update. So courthouse security, not complete. Mayor Woodby, is there anything you need to quickly say about that?
Yes, real quick. Let me just let the committee know what's going on that. They're at a stopping they're already at a stopping point until the rest of the materials come in. So they're finished completely in the building. John will let me know when the materials arrive and when work will resume. We anticipate mid-January, but that could change, and they'll give us notice before work resumes. And the temporary wall is up, it's secure, and the barrier is up. So it's very secure, and Mary's office is secure, and the doors that go into Mary's office lock, so no one can get out into that foyer area and kind of get twisted up. So everything's finished here. The punch list was done, everything was completed, and they will be back mid-January to finish the project.
Okay, do you also have an update on Sluter property? Or if nothing's changed, just
Nothing's really changed, and Chris Sheeler was supposed to be on tonight to kind of give us a little update, but I don't see him on here. But we still need to do the water and the electric, and the maintenance guys plan to get up there in the next week or so. They've been kind of caught up with everything around here, and we still need to do, there's a building that has to be put on the property to house the squad and the fire truck, but it's pretty much, it's getting close.
okay. As far as ADA transition plan, Mr. Smith has not reached out to me anymore, and neither have I reached out to him, so nothing new there. Paving at planning and probation is still not done. I
Maybe
understand
give it, I got
paving throughout the rest of the county.
yeah. Well, and Chairman, I'm sorry, I do have an update on it if you want me to give it.
Okay, go.
It's been graded and the drainage is fixed, and they're just kind of letting that sit for a little while, and then they're going to resume the paving, and the project will be complete.
Okay, thank you. You know, the archive department is something that's getting ready to be discussed in records committee. So that's one of the reasons we brought up these 4 properties, is because that's got to go somewhere. And I'll just remind you again, if Maccabee is able to put anything together with those colleges, then, you know, workforce development may not be an option for these things. It just depends on how that school stuff goes. We are deferring building and ground supervisor and a Northeast state contract until hopefully Mr. Grindstaff will be back with us next month. I know the forestry thing got worked out because his current landlord let them stay there. So we didn't hurt anyone by not letting them go to Northeast State property at a reduced price. So that situation worked out well. You have the attachment from Dr. Maccabee on the square footage, number of students or whatever that he sent us on his CTE programs. He will be back with us after he has this meeting with the other leaders of those schools. So anybody have a question on any of the old business? Okay, commissioner comments? Motion to adjourn.
Hey, Miss Hogan, I'm not a commissioner, but I got a comment.
Yes, sir.
If you got a minute.
Yes.
I sent out an email this afternoon with a property map on it, Green Meadows subdivision, Green Meadows Drive. And I just wanted to explain it a little bit. There's no decision to make, but I was contacted by Charles Laporte, and he indicated this little strip of property here was owned by, I guess, his father, who's passed away now, and Louis Green, J. Louis Green. It's a little bit odd. If you look at the map, I mean, there's like a heavy dark line, and that is the property. I mean, it's literally like 2 feet wide by, or whatever, 2 feet by several hundred feet. I mean, it's literally just a little strip that blocks off, and the plat I attached explains it, and I don't know why anybody frankly ever approved it, but essentially they just blatantly blocked off any access to the neighboring property from this drive. So I don't, there's a pretty sizable property that borders it. I don't know if anybody would ever want to develop it, but anyway, this Mr. Laporte contacted me and said he's not going to pay taxes on it anymore. Wants to give it to the county. The problem is Mr. Louis Green owns the other half, and didn't sound like they were on the best terms. So I don't know if he's willing to give it to us as well. But in any event, I told him I would give it to you all and let y'all look at it. But I mean, literally the only thing it would do is kind of open up access for development of other land owned by somebody else. And of course, I guess if it was given to us, we would take it. But I didn't invest too much time and effort into looking into it with only half ownership willing to give it. And you know, I don't know if any of you all know Mr. Green, but he's been generous in other areas, and then we've had problems in areas with him as well. So, you know, I'm not going to seek him out and ask him if he wants to give us something. But you all can, if you know him or if you want to. I was just bringing it up because I told Mr. Laporte that I would.
I know him, but I won't ask him. Look, if Charles doesn't pay the taxes, Louis probably won't pay them either, so we'll eventually get it, I guess.
Well, it'll come up in a tax sale and somebody will, and I don't know who would want. I mean, it's not, you know, literally you couldn't, I mean, if you lean too far, you would be off of it if you were standing on it. So I don't know. Eventually we may get it anyway, but it'll take a while.
Okay. Thank you, Attorney Harden. I'm sorry that you had to buzz in like that. Thank you.
That's all right.
Okay, motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Okay,
Mike,
right,
you're
so-
smiling way too much.
all right. So Gwen, put that down as Hill for the motion and Color for the second. If and then how many minutes do y'all need before Dr. Acuff goes?
10.
5.
So 5.
Okay. We'll go at 8:05. Is that good for everybody? Give
Sure.
everybody enough time? Okay.
Yeah, because you know what happens at 9 o'clock.
I know, it's your ice cream time.
We know.
Okay, just want to let you know.
Brad, you got playing golf?
Yes, played today, matter of fact.
Where'd you play?
We went down to, what is the name of it? Twin Creeks, there in Afton. And,
How was it?
oh, well, of course, they've got the bent grass. It's brown, but the greens are magnificent. You know, they're fast. They're hard to hold. You got to be exact. In our foursome, we had an eagle and 5 birdies out of the thing. They're good, but I can grant you one thing: a man that can get anywhere close on 18, I'll buy his supper. It looks plumb and everything else, but if you don't put it in the hole, it'll go off the backside. I don't care what you do. It's a left or right, and I mean, you got to be exact.
It's fast. We played Graysburg last week. It was in pretty decent shape.
Yeah. Yeah, we have found in our tour of all the courses that you know, it's they've all done their due diligence in keeping the courses up, because there's a lot of public out there using them, man. I'm telling you.
Yeah. We played Tri-Cities Tuesday, and the greens was fast there. So
Yeah, they're known for rolling them, boy.
yeah.
I'm telling you.
Cost me a couple of strokes. At least that's what I'm gonna blame it on.
Oh yeah. Oh dear. I don't think we can be safely assured that we're not going to make the 125 money list this year.
No, me neither.
Okay, thanks for letting me back in, Abby. I kind of got disconnected there. I had to move to another room. So at any rate, let me call health and welfare to order. We'll go on the roll call from building and grounds. You have an agenda before you, so if there's a motion to approve.
So moved.
I'll second.
Commissioner Hill, seconded by Commissioner Jenkins. Any additions to the agenda before we vote? Hearing none. Gwen, if you'll please call the roll.
Randall Jenkins,
Yes.
Mike Hill,
Yes.
Robert Acuff,
Yes.
Brad Johnson,
Yes.
Thomas Prophet,
Yes.
Ginger Holdren,
Yes.
Sandra Color.
Yes.
That's all ayes, thank you, or all yeses. I don't see any public on the line, but I'll open it up for public comment if there is anyone that would like to speak for the public or chime in for any reason. All right, hearing none, we'll close public comment. You received minutes from the September 2020 Health and Welfare meeting, and I need a motion to approve those.
Motion to approve.
Okay, for the September meeting. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, I think that was motion by Commissioner Hill, seconded by Commissioner Holdren. Any corrections as you read those additions? Gwen, I want to thank you for being very complete with the minutes. We really appreciate your efforts on our behalf.
Thank you.
So if you'll call the roll to approve the minutes.
Randall Jenkins,
Yes.
Mike Hill,
Yes.
Robert Acuff,
Yes.
Brad Johnson,
Yes.
Thomas Prophet,
Yes.
Ginger Holdren,
Yes.
Sandra Color,
Yes.
Isaiah Grindstaff.
It is unanimous. Thank you. The next item on the agenda is continuing with our broadband internet discussion and action. I think each of you were copied on an email I sent to Brad Shields at Ridgeline, and he sent back, which he copied all of you all on, in terms of looking at District 6 as the place that we should focus on first for any grants that we apply for. I also sent that to Ken Ray. I think we probably need to do two things tonight. One is to continue reaching out to Ridgeline. I think they're going to be our partner. Now, whether they have another group come in like SkyBest or some other individuals that they want to utilize, that is their prerogative, and that will be between them and anybody else that comes into the agreement. I know that they have used SkyBest in the past, so that may be their partner, but I'll let Brad and them do that. They are already ready to begin engineering. They've already looked at running fiber from Roan Mountain over to Little Milligan, and that's why he thought that may be the first, or should be the first project that we do. I informed him, as each of you know, that Commissioner Hill and I had met with the principals and Superintendent McAbee to discuss the surveys, and they are working diligently on those. I haven't talked with Superintendent McAbee this week, but we'll reach out to him and see where we are with those surveys. I know that one or two have ended up in the mayor's office, and she has gotten those back to Commissioner Hill, I believe. So that's where we are. I think it makes good sense to me, and I guess we should have a motion on this, that we work with Ridgeline. If we look, all of you that remember the fiber-based map that we got from ENA, they own the most fiber that runs through this county, even really more so than Elizabethton Electric. And it runs all the way through Roan Mountain, through Elizabethton, and over to Johnson City. So it makes good sense, even though we've talked with another company that John West is the president of, as you all recall, for the workshop that you joined us with him. Ridgeline still has the biggest presence. So I just wanted to know what the feelings of the committee is to solidify that. I know that Attorney Harden has talked or emailed back and forth with Brad Shields just to have an agreement of understanding, not really a memorandum of understanding, but that we would be working with them and they would be our choice.
Dr. Acuff, I'll be glad to put that into the form of a motion if that's what you need.
Yes, ma'am, I would. Thank you.
Second, Mike Hill.
Okay, any discussion on that? Any reason or question on why we would not go with Ridgeline at this juncture?
Mr. Chairman, Brad Johnson.
Yes, sir.
My question would be, since the primary target would be District 6 because of Ridgeline, which is a good choice, the other district is what? District 1?
District 2 and District 1.
District 2 and there's 1. How the other company or the other firm, are they fitted to handle those two?
In our discussions with Mr. West, I don't think they have any fiber presence in our county.
Okay.
And that's why it seemed reasonable for us to make a decision to go to Ridgeline. I would hope, and Commissioner Hill may have a response to this, I would hope that Ridgeline, as Brad Shields mentioned, would partner with SkyBest, and then we would also get District 1 out of that, since SkyBest is already located in Johnson County in Shady Valley.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's a no-brainer because that eliminates a lot of costs since they've already got fiber in place. That's one of the most expensive parts in this whole thing. And it would be more to our advantage to go with them.
Yeah, I agree.
Ridgeline is the pipeline, or they're the main source, the backbone and then the Trilite and the Sky Best, as I understand it, and this is from talking to all those cats, right? They're the organization that comes in and builds out from the backbone and delivers to the home and handles the billing and the tech and all of that. So this is like going with the mothership, and it's up to them to figure out. It might be a situation where they would partner with different companies for different parts of this county, and we won't know that until they, do their engineering piece. But I think this is after all the discovery calls we've had, this is the best chance and the most logical first step.
Yeah, I certainly would agree with that assessment as well, and let them pick who their partners are. I mean, Brad, at least the email discussion that we have had going back and forth, seems to be genuinely excited about doing this. So let's get them the needed surveys and other pieces of information that they need. Make sure Ken Ray, and I'll reach back out to Ken tomorrow at First Tennessee Development District and see which of the grants he would suggest that we go with first. I know there's a USDA grant. I know there's some Tennessee great grants that are out there to see if we can't focus in on one. Because as each of you remember, everyone that we've talked with, but particularly Brad Shield, said that once you have the package, you shop it everywhere. And the insides really don't change that much. So we just need to move it forward, and hopefully in our lifetime or our lifetime on this commission that we'll get to see part of this completed. So that's my hope.
Chairman Acuff.
Yes, ma'am.
I have some kind of good news for second district. Mike probably already knows, but my understanding, Ridgeline did a site survey today at Cloudland Elementary and Cloudland High School, and the FCC has decided to pay to have 10 gigs ran to both of those schools, and that will be up and going and ready by the end of this school year.
Fantastic.
And the school system is on an E-rate plan, so the FCC will pay 90% of the bill. The schools pay 10.
Wow.
So
good news. Thank you.
Both of our Cloudland schools will have some form of more sufficient than what they have by the end of this school year. They did the site survey today.
Fantastic. That's great news. Thanks, Mayor.
Information.
Thank you. Thank you. That's great news. So, and I would imagine too, they'll just extend that, as Brad indicated to us in the email, part of that over to Little Milligan, and they desperately need it there.
I think Little Milligan's at 1 gig.
Okay.
I think that's where they're at right now. And from my understanding, that's the one area that is really of concern.
Yeah.
From what discussions I've had too, it is a major concern for getting it to them.
Right. Well, Assistant Principal Markland up there told Commissioner Hill and I when we went to visit a few weeks back that several families, or at least one family, had invested in satellite. And I think we may have relayed this to the committee, but the monthly fee for something like Hughes Satellite is like $150 a month. So yeah, and I don't think they had to decide not to pay for it any longer. They just couldn't afford it. And I would imagine that many of the individuals in that community, knowing many of them, can't afford $150 a month. There's more important places to put their money, like at the grocery store and put food on the table. All right, well, that's great. Gwen, you want to call the roll on going with Ridgeline?
Randall Jenkins,
Yes.
Mike Hill,
Yes.
Robert Acuff,
Yes.
Brad Johnson,
Yes.
Thomas Prophet,
Yes.
Ginger Holdren,
Yes.
Sandra Culler,
Yes.
and Isaiah Grindstaff.
Thank you, Gwen. Unanimous. Thank you all for solidifying that. I'll reach out to Brad either tonight or first thing in the morning. Chairman Holdren brought Sequoia to the table at financial management earlier this week on Monday morning. And I distributed for each of you the packet that they presented at Financial Management Committee. But one of the areas that we have talked about prior to this year was incentives to make sure that our employees and their families are making their wellness visits. Remember, there is no charge for them to go see their primary care doc, to have a visit, a wellness visit. And as we looked at those numbers, and I think it was slide number 30, and I don't have a way to project it here, but you can go to slide number 30 in the packet that I sent out, and you can see where a number of folks are not taking advantage of being able to early diagnose particular conditions. I think it's a real no-brainer that once we diagnose if somebody has diabetes or breast cancer or some other chronic condition that they need to be seen for, the longer they wait to be seen, the more money it costs, not only them, but it costs the county. And that plays through when our insurance brokers go back and talk how much it's going to cost us to insure our employees health-wise on the next go-round. So one of the things that Commissioner Travis Hill brought up at the meeting, which I think is a good suggestion that they do in the city, when we have someone go to a wellness visit, the physician sends back a note to the supervisor, or to, in our case, it probably go through personnel, through finance department, that they have been there, they have been checked, all HIPAA will be adhered to, so no results obviously, but that they did go and made their wellness visit. And then they get the day off or a day off. So that's one incentive that we can provide to encourage everybody to go get a wellness visit, as well as mammograms and any other items that they need. So just open up the floor to your all's thoughts and see what else you might want to propose to the full commission or back to financial management for them to then make sure that we go forward with those incentives for our employees.
Chairman Acuff, Thomas Profit.
Yes, sir.
Do they offer a discount for insurance if they do the wellness incentive?
That has not been broached with them, but I'm sure financial management, as they go through the next iteration for our healthcare insurance, could ask that question. If we've got,
I know
a number percentage of folks.
Yeah, we get 15% off for annual insurance, which saves about $1,200 a year, which is pretty good if you just do your wellness checkup and your blood work. So I don't know if that's an option to do, or something to look at.
Yeah, I think that's a good suggestion. I think for maybe throwing it back to financial management, and we've got certainly two members of the committee on tonight that are on health and welfare. Maybe if they adhere and do their wellness visits, get their proper testing, those that are paid 80% of their health insurance by the county, we may offer another 5 or 10%, or maybe more. That would be up to financial management and the budget committee to see if we can encourage that. I think that's a good idea as well.
Dr. Acuff, Brad Johnson.
Yes, sir.
It kind of gets you in a way to know the battles that we have went through just to be able to provide a quality insurance for our families, for our employees, that they would be so blatant not to take advantage of that, because they don't realize that if they don't, we're getting ready to face another increase in insurance just because that they don't want to cooperate. Now, do they want to pay more for insurance, taking the chance that their family not be covered and can't afford it? for what the pay is. You know, it kind of gets me beside myself that there won't be no effort from them.
Right. Well, and I don't know, I think Attorney Harden has spoken to this in the past, and I see he's still on the line here, so you may want to speak to it again. I don't know that we can penalize people if they don't go and get regular checkups and, you know, take their medication, et cetera. All the things that keep them healthy or keep our insurance costs low. Josh, is there any way we can penalize folks for not taking advantage of it?
Certainly, as I've said in the past, I wouldn't suggest or recommend a penalty for not doing something. I think we would be much more on solid ground to reward people for doing something like Mr. Prophet's talking about. Reward those who take the effort to do something by a discount or a bonus or a whatever. But just the baseline insurance offered, I think, I don't think we can penalize people who simply choose to do no extra than they are absolutely required to do.
Okay.
Can we require this? I mean, can we just plain old flat out require it? I don't think. Have we talked about that? Is there a way to mandate that people go get their annual?
Like I said, I would be real hesitant about mandating anything health-wise. Certainly, we can reward and incentivize good behavior, like, you know, folks who want to take advantage of some sort of program to tobacco cessation or alcohol or annual checkups or physicals or any of that. Incentivizing is good. I think we would run afoul or into some trouble if we started penalizing folks who didn't want to do that. That's just my opinion. Like I said, I'm no great authority on it, and I don't have any specific examples to point to, but just kind of as a global thought, I think it's always a lot more challenging to penalize than to reward good behavior.
Right, but the free toaster in return for going for your annual costs money. You know, so or you know what I mean. And so then it becomes a fee increase, but you're right back to penalty.
Well,
yeah, any form of that. Like I said, we offer the health plan. It's for all employees. I don't think we can penalize certain ones because they don't do the things we want them to do, but I certainly think we can incentivize those who do. That's the bottom line.
Well, since we're in the process right now, from our broker is having to go in and negotiate the new insurance level for this upcoming year, that could it not be in some ways that you're offered two plans? Number one, if you do your annual doctor's visit, here is your monthly rate. You know, they can choose. If you're going to choose that rate, that means you're going to go there and do it. If you don't, you're going to have to pay a little bit more because our insurance is going up. And it's going up because of such things as that.
I'm on board with what you're saying. I mean, I just don't know where it would stop if you extend it to that. Well, what if they go have a checkup and they've got they've got cancer of some kind or something? Well, sorry, you went and did your checkup. You're going to cost us too much, so you're off the insurance. And we're real limited on what we can share or even know of medical conditions that are discovered. So obviously everybody would be of the opinion that it's a good idea to get these annual checkups. It's a good idea to catch these things early. It's better for everyone. But then you get into autonomy issues of you're trying to order someone to do something with their health that they may or may not want to do. And so, like I said, it always comes down to me. To my opinion on it is let's incentivize good behavior. Let's reward folks who go above and beyond and do things that we want them to do. But any sort of penalty or extra costs for those who choose not to, I think, is shaky ground.
And on a side note, can we not use the word mandate on anything else after pandemic is over?
If you don't wear a mask,
Please, no mandate. Just a side note.
Yeah. Well,
Chairman Ake,
yes, go ahead, Commissioner Jenkins.
I think Commissioner Profit and Commissioner Johnson, if we could have a combination of what they said and send that back to financial management, I think we might be onto something. Just a combination of both of what they said. I like both their ideas. A little aggressive on Brad's side. I'm kidding, Brad. Yeah, I mean, something to that effect. I don't know. Thomas, what did you say your company or who you work for does? You said 15% off, or?
Yeah, we do. If you do your wellness checkup and blood work and everything, you get 15% off of your annual premium, which saves me around, I think it's around $1,300 a year. So, which is pretty good.
I mean, that would make me go to the doctor, and I never go to the doctor.
And it's simple things, it's free too. That's what I don't understand why people won't do it.
Yeah, I know, that's the killer right there.
Right, but in our case, where would the discount come from? Are we gonna raise the rack rate, the retail price by 15% so that we can give that incentive for the ones that, you know what I'm saying? Where does the Sequoia Group arrange for the discount, or do we have to kind of create that cushion so that we can offer it?
I mean, we've had so much savings with them. I mean, we've got the cushion, I would think, right?
Yeah, I mean, they certainly have saved us well over probably now $700,000, maybe more.
Yeah.
From the get-go. And I don't know that they could further discount, or if Blue Cross Blue Shield, let's say we stay with them, they negotiate. So we've got everybody in Carter County, all 270 or how many ever employees are that are currently on the insurance. Everybody's doing their wellness visits. Will you discount us more? I don't know that Blue Cross Blue Shield would do that by us practicing, our county employees and their families practicing wellness opportunities, because that's what it is. I think we'll probably have to incentivize it from our side more than likely, like giving them a day off if they bring a letter in from their physician. Or I agree with Commissioner Profit. I would like for us to build in, if we've got employees that are 80-20, county pays 80%, they pay 20%, and they adhere to making sure that everybody in their family or themselves goes to the physician and they're consistent with that, then we reduce the premium that they pay of that 20%. I think that would be a fantastic incentive.
Yeah, I like that.
You are talking about a drag on the budget, though, because the savings we allocate to pay the insurance bill, but the savings isn't really like a fund that we set aside. It's we don't budget for the big amount. We budget for the actual cost. So, I mean, we would be taking it out of money that we would spend on premiums typically, but it would still be an allocation on the part of the county of some sort.
Right. I think that would probably be the way that we would have to handle it. And I think it's also yet another, and I know that financial management had Sequoia present the total package benefit. It's not only the salary you make, but look at all the other benefits. If the example they used was $47,000 as a salary, but with the benefits for that individual at 47, it brought it up well over 63,000. And I think that's the way that it has to be brought to bear to our employees, that, yeah, you make this, here are your benefits, but if you'll do a little bit more, we'll give you a little bit more money back. It'll cost you less. And I think that's an investment that county government has to continue to make it in its employees.
Exactly.
And I think if we don't do that, if we don't, as Josh pointed out, if we don't really, incentivize, it's going to come back to haunt us. I mean, we got 4 folks. If you look at those figures that Sequoia presented, we got 4 folks here at the top of the list that are costing us a heck of a lot of money. And I don't know if they'll term out or eventually roll off or retire from the county, but those numbers, unless they roll off or termed out, those numbers will be looked at next year by Blue Cross Blue Shield. And they're going to say, you got folks that are well over $100,000 each that you're costing our plan. And so they're going to come back and say, no, we're not going to give you 0%. It's going to be 14% this year, or whatever figure they come back with.
Well, at least maybe it will be a softer sell this time than the initial insurance investigation. Because, I mean, I'm sorry, but many of those employees were plumb nasty about that whole bit of investigation that we did. That ended up yielding a bunch of savings and making it better for the employees, which I don't know. I don't want to have to throw my hat in before I step into the courthouse. Like it was going that way before. So I do like this 0% for this year, and it's not quite as good as 10% less, but which is what we experienced last year. But they've done a phenomenal job for us, and I don't know. I'm going to shut up now.
Yes, sir.
Since you got the chair to the financial management, it might be wise that we take Commissioner Profit's idea, run it by them during the month here, and see if it is viable to where they can work with the present figures we have to see if they could be a discounted amount, or it may even come up something better than that.
Yeah, that's a great idea. It's a great idea.
And then that way we probably would have it available for the information for us for next month if we could take action on it.
Okay. Commissioner Holden, would you consider doing that? Or do you want me to reach out to Kelly and Tim? I don't mind doing that either.
I'll do it. I don't care. I'll be glad to.
Okay.
Question, Chairman.
Yes, ma'am.
Do we not still have some people that are receiving 100% payment from the county?
We do have several of those, and I don't know. I haven't looked at the breakdown.
How is that going to figure in with the 15% discount? Are we going to give them more money, or, I mean, they're not really going to get an incentive.
Well, that's the incentive would be to keep that program.
Well, yeah, but it's not working now, so I don't think that's going to be an incentive later either.
But I think that's something that we could look at, or financial management could look at. See, I don't know what that number is. How many employees out of the 270 is 100%, and we can look at that. What that answer would be for the 100% people. So, but definitely the 80-20 people. 80-15 sounds a whole lot better if I'm doing my yearly checkup.
Yeah.
Or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
Oh, I agree with that. I just trying to figure out what we're going to do about the 100% people.
Yeah, I think that's the conundrum. And since Josh won't let us penalize them, then I guess we're going to have to come up with some other mechanism, which won't be paying them more. Well, indirectly it would be if we would get them to bring a note in and give them a day, or maybe we can give them 2 days off. I don't know. To somehow incentivize them.
I think you're on the right track there. The only way to figure in the savings is for folks who are paying, and then you obviously increase the portion the county is paying to save them money off of their portion. But folks who are at 100% already, I mean, the only incentive you can offer them is some sort of bonus, or like we talked about before, some like a gift card or a one-time bonus or days off or whatever. In addition to because I mean, there's nothing else that you can really give them off the savings. We can't just give them cash money. I don't believe they're already getting their insurance 100% paid. So that's where you're at. The incentive is for the folks who would get a discount, and the county would shoulder more of that burden. And then the ones at 100%, you're gonna have to come up with some other kind of bonus. And then as far as maybe the whole thing can be structured as a bonus. Maybe the money, like you say, is budgeted to break even as it's supposed to be, and then there's a fund there that would have monies for all those employees that complied and did all the testing and all the stuff. Maybe they get a one-time bonus at the end instead of savings as off of their monthly insurance costs. Maybe there's a fund there that equals that out or something, where everybody is on an equal playing field with a bonus instead of a reduction in a withholding. Because I would think that would be kind of a nightmare for the finance people to keep track of.
Yeah.
That's where the toasters and coffee makers come in.
Exactly.
The Carter County underwear.
Okay, well, I don't know that we need a motion. I think we've got an intent out there, and let's see what financial management comes back with. And Ginger, any way that I can help, I'm happy to do that. Participate with you, or call, get on the phone with you to Kelly and Tim and work out something. But I just think it's too important an issue for us not to address, so that we can incentivize our county employees to, practice some wellness, because again, it saves us all money in the long run. So
Just to let you know, United Healthcare will bring you some Tupperware and a $25 gift card. So, it's.
yeah. Too bad we don't have S&H green stamps anymore. Maybe we could offer that. Then we get it Mike's toaster and coffee maker.
That's what I'm saying. Get your Tupperware and your $25 gift card and let them come to your house.
Okay. All right. Thanks. Under old and new business, and we'll be finished, just so that everybody knows, I know Commissioner Profit has an interest, but Brandon Young is going to try to call the homeless task force together next week. He had both COVID and strep this past couple of weeks, so he has been very much under the weather, but he and I have been communicating back and forth. So we're going to try to do a Zoom meeting next Thursday to bring that task force together. So just to let you know where that is. The last thing I'd like to cover is the workshop that we did with Dr. Dave Kursky, the regional health medical director, and Director Carolyn Hurt of Johnson County, Carter County health departments. What was the takeaway for everybody in that? What do you think? Do we, after listening to that discussion, do we need to send forward a recommendation to the full commission, or did everybody walk away, those of you that attended, thought that we had a plan to do it by Zoom? And Attorney Hardin has said that we can, correct me if I'm wrong, Attorney Hardin, that we can recess that time to a different days before we take the vote, to allow our commissioners or our constituents to contact each of their commissioners to let us know how they feel about the individuals who presented and were asked questions at that November 23rd meeting that I assume is still going to go, but by Zoom.
Yeah, you're right. It can be delayed. The actual vote can be delayed to a subsequent meeting as long as the majority of the commission votes for that. And the decision basically has already been made, and we've already got the ad, and it's being ran again as a Zoom meeting, no in-person meeting at all. So that's already happening, and certainly it'll be up to you all that night whether you're ready to fully vote and appoint, or whether it's delayed. It could be a subsequent special call meeting, or it can be the regular December meeting and still be in time. It's kind of whatever the will of the commission is that night.
Okay. Because I think Chairman Hill also wanted to have constituents contact their commissioners with appropriate questions that we could ask candidates as part of the discussion on the 23rd. would like to know after all is said and done, and hopefully many of my constituents in the first district in Stony Creek will have listened to this or maybe could view it at a different site. I even thought about holding a small town hall meeting with everybody physically distanced and everybody wearing masks, the routine, and let them watch the recording again, because some folks don't have access to Zoom or will not call in, just so that we kind of get, or at least I want to get their opinions on who I should vote for. I don't think it's fair for me to make that decision for them without their input. So.
And there was some thought there. I don't know if he's going to be able to line it up, but having like WBJ broadcast the thing too, so people could hear it that way.
That's a good idea.
I think that's gonna be a go. From what I'm understanding, that WBJ is probably going to be able to do that.
Great.
You know, the school board meeting has been on Facebook. So I don't know if there's any way we can have the recording somehow that people can log on to Facebook and look at it.
Yeah, I think we're broadcasting as we speak on YouTube. I mean,
Yeah.
Folks just aren't, that's going to be the issue. And I guess it's going to be Abby or whoever's going to be running the thing. Folks who are nominated and need to speak, we're not necessarily going to know who those are ahead of time. So they're going to have to be logged in on Zoom to have the ability to do what we're doing. But just those who want to observe and listen and watch can get on YouTube, I think, and just see the broadcast. They just can't interact.
Right. Well, and I think it's going to be incumbent on us as commissioners to, for those that can't access that or don't listen to the radio for whatever reason, if they want to see the recording, for us to find a venue to do that. Now, in the first district, down at the airport, there's a great place to physically distance, and they've got the audio visual to be able for folks to watch it again. And I'm sure that Abby can get us a recording of that we can replay, or we can go on the county webpage and pull it up and broadcast it yet again inside that classroom. But I want, as I said, I feel strongly I want my constituents to have a voice in this.
But before long, they're going to be like our two national political parties. We're going to have it so screwed up by the 23rd, they ain't nobody going to know how to get a hold of anything.
That's probably true.
So you're going to be Zoomed.
We may find out by April who's the mayor. Is that what you're saying?
Well,
all right. Okay. Well, any discussion on the workshops? Is everybody happy, or that we did with Caroline and Dave Kershke?
Just my thoughts after listening to them talk about, less than 50 people. I didn't see how we could possibly have the public in and the 24 of us there and trying to speak to the microphones. And I really think we probably made the right decision. That's just my personal opinion.
I do too.
I think we absolutely made the right decision. And, I'm grateful that we were able to have that workshop. And with my pre-existing conditions, I'm really grateful that we don't have to go in that room full of 100 and some people breathing, for 5 hours. That makes me very happy.
All right.
Do you say we're going to be Zooming for 5 hours?
Well, if all the candidates are allowed to present, can you imagine how long that would be? I mean, it would be at least a couple of hours.
I anticipate it to be at least a couple.
Well, just so they understand that what happens at 9 o'clock. Now,
Brad?
they can talk to Randall. They can talk to Randall there, and Freddie's of our may come and give refreshments, but I don't think that's going to happen.
Well, it's a good thing we're Zooming then, so you can eat your ice cream.
I would just announce ahead of time that you're not going to vote for anybody that takes longer than 30 seconds to answer your question, and then maybe that was some brevity.
Who knows? All right, that's all I have, folks. I'll take a motion for adjournment unless there's further discussion.
Oh, Dr. Acap, real quick, just
Yes, ma'am.
To let the committee know, the school system did receive 2,000 Chromebooks they got them in. So they will be distributing them out to the kids, hopefully, if they make it back by Thanksgiving.
Fantastic. Good news.
Gary's gonna be busy.
Yeah. He's got them in and they're in hand.
Fantastic. Thank you for that information, Mayor.
Something else, Patty, I don't know if you want to mention it or I will, the resolution request. I think this is the appropriate committee. It's not on the agenda, I know, but from Baldwin, from the DA.
Oh, yeah, on the opioid. If you want to go ahead, that'd be fine.
Okay. Well, essentially, I think DA Ken Baldwin there sent a letter to the mayor asking that the commission consider a resolution supporting their lawsuit. If you all recall, this is the opioid litigation that the DAs of the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd district just kind of filed without really any approval from anybody. But they filed it on behalf of all the cities and counties, and we've been cooperating with it. If you remember, this is the email stuff. We had to cooperate with the firm out of Nashville. Anyway, apparently they're concerned that the Attorney General is trying to contact mayors and work out a settlement that will end their lawsuit without them having a say in it. And he's asking if the commission would consider a resolution in support of their lawsuit. And Mayor Woodby sent this to me, and my response was, of course we can or cannot. They didn't really ask us for permission to do it. They just did it. We are the beneficiary of anything that comes out of it. But it's up to you all whether you think it's a good idea that the state attorney general is negotiating a resolution versus these DAs. Certainly the lawsuit will continue either way unless we approve some sort of settlement on our behalf. But I mean, he's asking for this resolution or consideration of it. So it's up to you all if you want to come out in full support of the DAs.
Okay, what's the desire of the committee? Thoughts?
I mean, Josh, is this, we discussed this, about a year ago? Is this the same one?
Well, there's been multiple avenues of this thing. We had Tom Jesse and a couple of private attorneys came in to try to get us to file a lawsuit, and we did not. So the county did not voluntarily sue anybody for anything, but the 3 district attorneys general on behalf of all the cities and counties in their jurisdictions did file this lawsuit back in 17, I think. And it's been going on ever since, and we've cooperated with it fully, and we haven't discouraged anything. But like I said, it's going to go on anyway. It's just whether or not you want to be in support. Apparently, they're upset that the attorney general is trying to do an end run around them and trying to settle this lawsuit. The attorney general filed a separate lawsuit a long time ago, and most of these companies have already went in bankruptcy anyway. But there's still, I guess, some money to be made there. But eventually that we would be the benefactor of whatever, settlement was achieved. But, passing or not passing this resolution, I don't think is going to change that. We would still have to approve anything that ultimately came up to settle, the litigation.
Okay, is there a desire that we ask the attorney to do an appropriate resolution in support, or shall we do nothing? I lay that at the committee's jurisdiction here, obviously.
Well, is there any pros with doing the resolution or the cons to it, Josh?
Well, I mean, I guess that just politically, the pro would be, that you felt like you were supporting the district attorney general for our county. And, but as far as a con goes, I mean, unless it politically burns some kind of bridges with him, which I don't think that he would, take anything personally. But, like I said, he took the time to write the letter and make the request. So apparently it means something to him. I don't know in the grand scheme of things that it changes things much for us, but that's your all's call to make.
Chairman Acuff, I'll make the motion that we go on with the resolution for our district attorney in the area.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Culler, second by Commissioner Hill to have the attorney write a supportive resolution supporting Attorney General Baldwin's request that he laid out in the letter there, that we support his efforts. Any further discussion?
I will say, if you all approve it, I'll have it ready for the commission meeting.
Okay.
I mean, it's pretty vanilla, and he kind of gave us a little template to go by. So if you all approve it tonight, I'll have it ready for.
Okay, thank you. Gwen, you want to call the roll for us, please? On the resolution?
Randall Jenkins,
Yes.
Mike Hill,
Yes.
Robert Acuff,
Yes.
Brad Johnson,
Yes.
Thomas Prophet,
Yes.
Ginger Holdren,
Yes.
Sandra Culler,
Yes.
and Isaiah Grindstaff.
Thank you. It's unanimous. Thank you for bringing that to our attention, Mayor Woodby and Attorney Harden. Appreciate that. And thanks for doing the resolution. We appreciate you doing the pros on it. Thanks. All right. I think if there are no other items to come before us, I just need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
So moved by Commissioner Hill, seconded by Second by Commissioner Culler. I think we're adjourned. Don't think we need to take a vote.
Does anybody need a break before I proceed? All
We
right.
can go.
How long are you going to be?
I don't need a break. I was just asking if anybody needed a break.
No.
All right. So I'll call rules and bylaws to order. Roll call is the same. So approval, I'll take a motion to approve the agenda. I sent it out late this afternoon, actually about an hour before the meeting, so I do apologize.
Motion to approve.
Got a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Quinn, can you call a roll?
Randall Jenkins,
Yes.
Mike Hill,
Yes.
Robert Acuff,
Yes.
Brad Johnson,
Yes.
Thomas Prophet,
Yes.
Ginger Holdren,
Yes.
Sandra Culler,
Yes.
Isaiah Grindstaff.
All right. So next is approval of minutes.
Motion to approve is presented.
Got a motion. Do we have a second?
Second, Acuff.
Second, Acuff. Any discussion? Seeing none, call the roll, please.
Randall Jenkins,
Yes.
Mike Hill,
Yes.
Robert Acuff,
Yes.
Brad Johnson,
Yes.
Thomas Prophet,
Yes.
Ginger Holdren,
Yes.
Sandra Culler,
Yes.
Isaiah Grindstaff.
All right. So next on the agenda is public comments. Everybody is eating ice cream because it's 9 o'clock, so we don't have any public. Moving on to new business.
Don't have any ice cream either.
Approval of the county holiday list. I wasn't for sure if we needed to approve this. I'm pretty sure we've done it in the past. I did send it as an attachment. So if you all have any changes or if you approve, I'll take a motion to approve. And then
Motion to approve. Motion.
Second.
second, a motion and a second. Any discussion on it?
Who second that?
Thomas Prophet.
Mhm. Can we add to it or take away from?
I would assume maybe.
I don't know.
What do you got in mind?
We're not canceling Christmas. That would be a terrible thing.
Well, I was thinking about those incentives again, Randall. We could say
That's very
if you go to do your wellness checkup, you get this day off, and while everybody else has to work.
wellness checkup day, wellness checkup holiday.
Can I propose, can I propose County Attorney Appreciation Day?
Oh, Lord.
Okay. All right. I can't even remember. We didn't vote on it yet, did we?
No.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Gwen, can you take the roll?
Randall Jenkins,
Yes.
Mike Hill,
Yes.
Robert Acuff,
Yes.
Brad Johnson,
Yes.
Thomas Prophet,
Yes.
Ginger Holdren,
Yes.
Sandra Collar,
Yes.
Isaiah Grindstaff.
All right, motion passes. Thank you, guys. So this next item, I'm gonna try not to beat any horses to death on it. This committee has heard or we've discussed the second reading rule at least 2 times before. One time it failed in committee and one time it failed in full commission. I don't know. If I'm approached by a commissioner, I bring it to the committee no matter what. So I was approached, I put it on the agenda. Any discussion on it?
What, Randall, what are some of the negatives that we've heard? Just escape my mind.
So right off the top of my head, there was time restraints on money, which that was the biggest one that sticks out. Josh, do you remember anything off the top of your head why it failed? I meant to look at those minutes, but I never did get to it.
Yeah, generally it's always time. Of course, we just meet once a month. A lot of cities have multiple reading ordinances, but some of those meet multiple times a month. I think the city of Elizabethton has a 2-time reading thing, and they just meet once a month. As you all know, a lot of times in preparing for the meetings, it's just, we have a lot of things that kind of come up and need action quickly. And, the thoughts are, I guess, if you consider it, warranted to vote for something and pass it the first time, you're probably going to pass it the second time, and it's just going to delay things a month. If it's so important that you need more time, you can certainly delay any vote on anything and consider it another time. So to me, it just kind of puts a roadblock up sometimes for things that need quick action, but there's pros and cons to everything. So certainly whatever you all decide and whatever the full commission decides, we'll abide by. It's always been an issue of time and the urgency that we get sometimes with certain issues.
So I think one way that we went around it, and correct me if I'm wrong, I'm pretty sure that we went, this is how we made it a rule that if it doesn't come from a committee, it doesn't come to the floor. I
That's right. Yeah, if that kind of curtailed some of that stuff from just things coming up in commissioner comments after we've been in a 4-hour meeting and some new novel idea comes up and everybody wants to go home. The committee process is supposed to vet that out, and that's the kind of the opposite side of the coin on the city. The city doesn't have committees, so everything they consider comes up for the first time in a full city council meeting. Whereas our setup is a committee has vetted it and made a recommendation. So that's one of the arguments against it and why it's unnecessary, frankly, if you consider that.
Yeah, that raised its ugly head under the previous administration, which was world renowned for shoving crap in there. That didn't go through me because of his lordship.
But time is of the essence, Mr. Johnson.
Yes, ma'am.
Absolutely.
I understand. I understand.
All right. So I take it that we're not going to take any action on this. Going once, going
Can we
twice.
do it on the second reading, Daniel?
What? All right. So the next item was brought to my attention. So a few months ago, or I don't know, 6 months ago, time escapes me. We discussed about how we get paid in our meetings, and that we get paid for all the meetings. Somehow the school board, I think, Josh, you can jump in if you want. The school board only gets paid for one meeting per month, and sometimes they meet multiple times. So they only get paid once. And we set that rate from what I understand. And they was asking if they could get paid for all meetings. I don't know how many times they meet, more than one time a month, but it does happen. So
Randall, I
Yeah.
think due to the fact that they've been having special called meetings over trying to decide if school should go for a couple of weeks, and then they go back and decide if school, I mean, that's what they're running into, I think, has been the concern. I think
I
they've
didn't
had
get-
1 month, they had 2 or 3 special called meetings just trying to figure out how to get school back in place.
yeah.
And
basically-
Chairman Jenkins,
Yes, ma'am.
I know they also typically have a workshop meeting every month and then have the business meeting the following week. So there's usually 2 meetings a month, the workshop and then the full meeting.
And on that note, basically all this committee would do is pass it on to budget. I mean, we have no financial power. So it was just brought to me again, as rules and bylaws. I put it on the agenda, and we can pass it along to budget if you all see fit to do it.
Chairman,
Randall, I've been on this commission for 12 years. This is the first time I've ever heard that we set the school board funding for their meetings.
I'm pretty sure on that, right? I mean, it was new to me too. I actually emailed Josh about it. I didn't know. I didn't know we did.
Yeah, I really didn't know we did either, but when you asked me, I looked at it. I mean, state law provides that the county commission sets the compensation for the school board, the county school board. So we do. I mean, I'm sure they vote and approve on it, approve it too. But yeah, county commission sets the compensation. The way the statute reads, it says per meeting and special call meeting. It doesn't really mention a salary. I guess that's essentially what they get now is a monthly salary. I have no idea, but certainly we do set that number. So it's up to you all to pass it on to budget and full commission.
Chairman, I have an interesting tidbit that was brought to my attention. The school board members apparently get paid whether they attend the meeting or not. They get paid monthly. It is more of a salary, really, given that they don't seem to have to be present. And this was prior to the Zoom era.
Yeah, I think they did have one person. I don't know. I don't want to spread rumors or talk about hearsay, but I did hear about 1 or 2. I don't know if that's the problem now, but I don't know. I think it warrants a vote to maybe send it to budget and let them look at it financially. That's just my humble opinion.
Well, Randall, you may want to consider before you send it to budget is travel with it. Put an attachment. They get a regular committee meeting pay, but if you've got workshops or additional meetings, send it with a recommendation it be paid at the state minimal.
Yeah.
Do we know what their pay is right now?
I did not check into that.
So
I'm
Attorney,
not sure either, and I do know when I looked for the commission stuff has some flesh to the bone on the state law about how much the minimums. I didn't see any of that regarding school board. I mean, it was essentially just, we set the compensation per meeting, per special call meeting. I don't know what their setup's been or how long they've been basically drawing a salary. I doubt it's that much, but I don't know. So yeah, I mean, I guess it's worth looking into.
Well,
I have one more question, if I may. Is this something that's in their budget already? Like we have our commission budget? Is this something that's in the school board budget, or is this something coming out of county funds?
To my knowledge, it's part of the school board budget that is approved. I mean, just like our county commission budget has the budgeted funds to pay you all. That's my understanding. Is that it's within their budget too, and it's approved every year. And I don't, like I said, I have no idea what the amount is or how long it's been since it's been changed. But this was kind of news to me too. When Randall asked me, I didn't know we really had any control per se over how much they paid their board members.
so if we decide, or if we do the compensation for them, can we also put a caveat in there that says if you miss the meeting, you do not get paid?
Yeah, literally, I think that's the only thing the statute gives any guidance on whatsoever. I think it says the minimum is $4 per meeting, $4. So unless you're going to pay less than $4,
Mike, they'd be better off getting a toaster.
yeah. I would suggest though that any increases are not forwarded to Keith Powers Sr. Leave him out. And everybody else.
That's still more than we make when we really do a lot of work.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, when they can make 75 cents an hour like we do, I'm all for that.
Yeah. So what's the will of the committee?
Well,
So do we need to make
I
a
think-
motion on exactly what we recommend, or are we just making a motion to send it to budget?
I think we would just make a motion to send it to the budget and let them work it out and look at they have access to that. So where we don't at the moment.
well,
I just got approached with this a few days ago, so I had no time to do homework on it. So,
well, certainly I would vote or make the motion, we send it to budget, but with the caveat that we also say if you miss a meeting, you don't get paid.
yeah.
I'll second that motion.
So we got a motion and a second to send it to budget with the recommendation that if they miss the meeting, they don't get paid. Any discussion on it?
It sounds like you're recommending that the pay be kind of like your all's pay based on a per meeting basis and attendance at the meeting. So I mean, I guess that's your recommendation that you would send to them.
Right, because we went through and discussed this last commission about people missing meetings. We weren't going to, they had to stay for the whole meeting, otherwise they didn't get the full compensation.
Yeah,
you got to be materially there to participate.
I think what we ended up decided on, if you left early, that you only got the state minimum for that meeting.
Yeah,
That's correct.
I'm not sure that that's taken place, but I know that's our rule.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't think we have that much problem out of this current commission. Well, I don't know. We can zoom out anytime. So
Right.
all right. So I guess Gwen, can you call the roll on it?
Randall Jenkins,
Yes.
Mike Hill,
Yes.
Robert Acuff,
Yes.
Brad Johnson,
Yes.
Thomas Prophet,
Yes.
Ginger Holdren,
Yes,
Sandra Collar,
Yes,
Isaiah Grindstaff.
All right. So motion passes. I will pass that along to budget. They meet next week. Moving on to old business. I watched, I think Aaron Frazier, myself, and I don't know, maybe one or two more was on the webinar for the reapportionment committee stuff. There's a link, that YouTube link that's in your email, and on the agenda there is the full webinar. Plus, I attached the PowerPoints that they had. There's some pretty good information in there. Basically, none of it's usable right now until we get our numbers back, which they think because of COVID and everything that we won't get our numbers back until sometime late in May. So, and usually we have to have it in by the end of the year. So if it's in May, that leaves us what, 6-7 months to get it done. I think the prior commissioner did it in 2011, done it in one meeting. I don't plan on doing that. I plan on taking our time and looking at it and setting the lines up as best we can. But I think we can pull it off in 6 to 7 months. Even if we get it late in May, we can pull it off in 5 meetings. But that was their estimate time. It's supposed to be usually out in April, but they said that probably would not happen. And like I said, that video's, the link is there, and all the PowerPoints is, I attached them to the email. So any questions or concerns about that right now?
Chairman Jenkins, I thought here just in the past 30 days, and I don't know which federal agency they come under, but they put a stop to the census for the time being because of the COVID.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how far along they are, whether it's a notional or a true actual time of May at work if they at a halt.
Well, I mean, I watched that webinar. I think it was Tuesday.
Yeah.
Or maybe last Tuesday. I can't remember. And they didn't say anything about that. I don't think I missed it.
Yeah, I think the census is over. I think they just called it. Literally,
Yeah.
the federal court ruled it's over. You get what you get. Whatever they got counted is what they're going to count it, and they're done.
So
That's the case. Our local census rep spoke to us, and they had bounced back and forth with a bunch of different dates, but it closed down in October fully.
Wow.
Yeah, that's better. Okay.
Yeah. So look at if you get a chance to look at those PowerPoints, there is some good information in there. I actually learned some new stuff, and I've been studying this for 3 or 4 years now. But if you go through it, take the time to read. Action on that tonight. You all told me to get back with the press, and I did. Literally 1 sentence emails at a time with the press. They answer me back 1 sentence at a time. It tickles me to death. So we get a 15% discount. Let me look at my notes here. Basically, and I'm waiting on the Star to get back to me for what we pay with them. But we pay the press would be $1.81 per line legal rate and $5 per affidavit. So, and I would assume that's 15% off of that. But literally, it took me 5 emails to get that information from the press. Literally 1 sentence answers at a time, or 1 word answers at a time. I don't understand, but maybe they don't want our business. I don't know. So
they charge by the word. So
yeah.
Words.
So I would suggest that we don't take any action until I get word back from the Star. I'm sorry I don't have it. They just didn't get back to me in time. So if that's okay with you guys. Good.
Yeah.
All right. I don't have anything else. And Brad's done with his ice cream, so.
Yeah, but you can sit right down here.
Yes, ma'am.
Just to get your information you wanted earlier, Dr. McAbee just let me know that the school board does receive $100 per meeting, $1,200 annually, regardless of attendance.
Wow.
Well, gee, if we're the driving force that supplies the funds, we can change that then.
Mhm.
Right.
Well, I mean, it's pretty much in our motion that we've already made that we'll send to budget, and it's up to budget to see it through. So with our recommendation, so we'll see how that comes out next week.
I'd be surprised when that hits the budget table that they get that 50 mile stare in their face too, because they didn't realize it neither.
Yeah. Exactly right. Especially with the no attendance.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, all right. Is there any? I feel like I'm missing something, but I don't have it on my agenda, so I don't know. There's nothing else. I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second. All right. All in favor? Aye. Good night, guys.
Good
I don't
night.
know. Wait, Mike. Law enforcement. My bad.
I have nothing, and they don't really give us anything to bring forward. So I don't see any point in taking up our time until they have something that needs to come to the commission. That's kind of my stance.
So that's
Well, the only thing that will come before budget, just so that law enforcement knows, we'll be talking about and asking for funds to move animal control officers from the sheriff's office back to the shelter. And I think that amount is about $50,000 for the next 6 months. So that'll come before budget next week.
Apparently they didn't want us to do anything with that. That's still my take.
Mine too.
We're getting the short end of the stick on that deal.
Yeah. Amen.
I guess were we done?
Before we leave, I want to thank Gwen and Abby both for your all stellar performance as always. Gwen, thanks for your completeness in your minutes. And Abby, thank you for doing all these Zoom meetings and putting up with us.
Absolutely. I'll second that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, I'll bet you that nobody else has as much fun as we have during our meetings.
Probably not.
I think I'm gonna miss this committee.
It's because of fun committee.
They're just like a stick in the mud, you know it?
I watched the last one a little bit while I was waiting for ours to convene. I thought they sounded like they had a lot of fun.
Yeah. They must not have taken a breath, about ready to wet their pants. That's the only reason. Well,
It's nice to have you.
top of the evening to you.
Okay. Thank you.
Shalom.
Good night.
Night.
Good night, everyone.
Good
Good
night,
night, John boy.
John.